Morning, everyone. How are you? Happy Mother's Day to all the mums out there. Mother's Day, the 10th of May, everyone, 2026. Gee, the year's going quick, eh? Good to see a few who's in the chat room already. Let us know if you can hear me and see me okay, everyone. Make sure I haven't got my microphone muted like I normally do. Yeah, Blackers is watching from work. Blackers has got to work today. That's no good, working on Mother's Day, everyone. Lynn, pretty sure you're a mum. Happy Mother's Day. I haven't rung my mum yet. She'll be still in bed. So after the live feed, I'll give mum a ring and say happy Mother's Day. So to all the mums out there, fellas, I hope you're cooking brekkie in bed or taking them a brew in bed. Roz is still in bed. She's having a sleep in for Mother's Day. Rafa's out there. He'll make her a brew later. So, yeah, who else we got in? All the normal suspects. Timmy Ryan's on. Jeff Keen's out camping at Somerset Dam, I take. Somerset campground or something. Jeff saying he's packing up this morning and heading home. Got a good setup there too, mate, by the looks of it. I saw your photo on Facebook. Looks really good. The rooftop tent. So Jeff's heading out. At least you've been out camping, mate. It's still rainy weather up here. It just will not fine up properly. But I should be out camping by now, and I'm not. I'm in a bit of a flat spot, everyone, but I'll get out there soon. Lukey Reed's on from Launceston, everyone. Great, Lukey. How are you, mate? And John's back on. John's got he come on early, and when I'm an hour early, I'll come back on later on. So John and Dana are on, everyone, over in the United States, and they're not in Oregon at the moment. I've got a map there. We'll talk about where John is soon. He's heading interstate from Oregon, and he's in Idaho at the moment at a place called Twin Falls. I think you're still at Twin Falls, and it's Saturday night over there. He's cooking dinner, everyone. John's cooking dinner on Saturday night, and the last I saw, he was at a place called Twin Falls in Idaho, and he's heading up to Montana in Indian country. I've got a couple of good Indian jokes for you later, John. I hope they're not racist. You've got to be careful with jokes these days. Everything can be considered racist. I don't know. You'll let me know, but if they are racist, I live a long way away, so I won't be able to get a bloody arrow through the side of my neck. But yeah, I was just looking at the map. I'll show you soon, everyone. I've got Google Maps up. Idaho, Montana, and Utah, all those places, all Indian country back in the days. A lot of Indian reservations and that on there. So I'm really looking forward to some of John's videos from up around there. I've heard a lot about Montana. I reckon it's beautiful. Yeah, so, and that's the reason, everyone. 143JKRD. If you want to see some of the beautiful countryside and places, get on and subscribe to John's channel, everyone. Get to see a bit of Idaho on this is his trip. They haven't added any trips. Dana broke her bloody foot on a cruise last year and has been out of action, but her foot's good enough at the moment to at least go camping, which is good. So I think it's been 6 months since they've been out for a camp in their casita little caravan or trailer, as they call them over there. And this one, they're going up through Idaho and up into Montana. So, yeah, get on and subscribe to John's channel, everyone, and have a look at, I'm just looking forward to seeing some of the beautiful countryside and that. I've seen photos of Montana, and it looks very wide open plains and that. It looks really good. So looking forward to seeing your footage from that, John. And I'll tell you some Indian jokes soon, mate. I hope they're not racist. They probably are, but I'm a long way away. They won't be able to get me. Who else we got on? Nathan Bridgeland. G'day, Nathan. How are you, mate? Blackers is at work. Ray Newman. I went to post your shirts yesterday, mate, and they bloody won't go in the chute. So I'll go in first thing tomorrow morning and actually walk them into the post office and hand them over, mate. I tried to put them in the express chute, and I don't know if it's full or what's going on. They wouldn't go down, so I wasn't leaving them there for someone to put his hand in and grab them out. So your shirts will be express posted first thing in the morning, mate. They're in a bag ready to go. CJ Wall, g'day, mate. How are you? Good morning to you. Who else we got on? Blue Dog, morning, Buck, morning all. Lukey Reed, as I said, happy Mother's Day to your mum, Sue. Lukey, hope you're going around to say good day and cook a breakfast, or you won't be cooking a breakfast, you're watching me. Cook a dinner tonight, mate. Hopefully, anyway, hope she has a great one. Kerry Betts, hello, watching from home in Tamworth, New South Wales. About to set out for a month across Queensland, Northern Territory, South Australia, and back home. Oh, good stuff, Kerry. Have a great trip. And good luck with the fuel bill. My goodness. Fuel's still not real good. I don't know if you're in a petrol or gas, as John calls it. Unleaded petrol's bloody down around the 180, 185 or whatever, which is still too dear, but it's better than diesel. I'm not sure if you got a petrol or a diesel vehicle. Diesel I filled up 2 days ago, and diesel still $2.57 a litre, everyone. That's bullshit. It should be $1.57. It's still about 90 cents dearer than where it should be, a litre. What's that, $3.60 a gallon more than what we should be paying for it. Byron Goodsell, morning from the Deniliquin. Well, speaking of Deniliquin, mate, I've written that down this morning. Yes, I did. You are part of the Farah. Yeah, the elections there last night, mate. Deniliquin's part of the Farah federal, what's the word I'm looking for? Electorate of Farah. And One Nation got up there, shitted in last night, mate. Deniliquin's part of the Farah electorate. Yes, good win by One Nation. Exactly, mate. We're going to talk heavily about that in a minute. Good stuff. Steve and Annie are on from Soar Adventures. G'day, everyone. How's everyone going on Mother's Day? Happy Mother's Day to Annie. Hope Winnie and Jasper are cooking Annie breakfast in bed, mate. To all the mums, hope you have a wonderful day, and all the mums that aren't with us, we're thinking of you always. Absolutely, Steve. Absolutely, mate. Let's not forget. Oh, I'm lucky. My mum is still with me in Gidgee at the moment. Mum's 85 in August, so mum's still hanging around. But I know a lot of you out there may not have a mum. So, yeah, not just the mums that are with us, but the mums that aren't with us too. Spare a thought for them too, eh? Is Steve on? Steve... Which Steve's on? Steve W, is it? Over in the mother country? I haven't seen his name pop up yet. Someone's saying, morning, Steve. So I'm presuming it's probably, yeah, Twin Falls. So John and Dana are still in Twin Falls, Idaho, everyone. After I do a few shout-outs, I might bring the map up and show you where John is at the moment. Nice cap. Do you like it? We'll talk about that soon, mate. We'll talk about that soon. I got a special letter the other day, everyone, and the cap might give away who it's from. Stay tuned for that. It's pretty special. Fizz and M. G'day, Fizz and M. Fizz and M were on Rob the Wanderer's live feed. Why does my nose always get itchy on live feeds, everyone? Can someone Google, why does Buck's nose get itchy on live feeds, please? Dead set. Every time I do a live feed, my nose gets itchy. Don't watch myself back. I'll watch it back to watch the comments. I closed the window and it's bloody hot. I've got to open it back up again. Got the ceiling fan going, as you can see in the curtain there. Bloody hell. I might have to crank the AC up. It's nearly winter time, everyone. Got to crank the AC up. As soon as you close the window, it's hot. What was I talking about besides itchy noses? Oh, Fizz and M. Fizz and M were on Rob the Wanderer's live feed the other night, everyone. I'm sure I saw your name in Rob the Wanderer's live feed. And Rob was with Tommy Oliver and someone else who I can't remember his name now. Anyway, Tommy Oliver did a cook-up. They did a live cook-up in the camp oven. They were down at a place called, not Twin Falls, Idaho. I forget where they were now. They were out near Stanthorpe somewhere. I'll think of its name soon. Anyway, Tommy did a cook-up. It's just like a minced stew, everyone, in the camp oven, but he put dumplings on the top. Instead of submerging them in the liquid of the stew, like a normal dumpling, it was just self-raising flour, salt, pepper, cheese, bit of milk and that. And you just make it into a dough ball and then throw it into the top of the stew. But Tommy didn't submerge it all the way into the stew like you would with a normal dumpling. He sat them on the top so that only the bottom had the juice of the stew. And then he put the heat on the top of the camp oven and baked it. And they actually came out like a scone, like a cheese scone, and then you use the cheese scone to dunk into the juice of the stew. So it looked really, really good, come out good. And that was a great live. I really enjoyed that live feed. Watching the sunset and the fire in the background, and Tommy working his magic with the camp oven, and Rob was just reading out all the comment section. That was one of the Wanderers' best live feeds, I thought. That was a really good one the other night. Really enjoyed it. It's still up there if you want to see Tommy Oliver do his stew and scones in the camp oven, everyone. Go on to Rob the Wanderer Oz and watch his live feed. And Tommy did a good job. Just a pretty simple, like a mince stew, but he did the not dumpling. Well, they're dumplings, but they came out more like scones on the top because he didn't submerge them. Wollongong, same ocean. Hi, Buck. The Rowies hit the road soon. Cairns or bust. Good on you, Rowies. And make sure you give us a bell when you come through. We'll either catch up here for a coffee in Innisfail, mate, or me and Roz might be on. Rafa can come up to Cairns and have a coffee with you up there. It'd be good to see you again. The Rowies were our neighbours at the Camping with Mates event down at in New South Wales last year, everyone, in August last year. So have a safe trip and enjoy your time up here. Good luck with the fuel bills. Russ Longson coming in live from the gate with Jonesy. The two diddly donks, Russ and Jonesy, are watching me from work, everyone, on the front gate. Hard at it, yeah. Russ, Sunday morning, Russ is on the computer at work at the prison, everyone, watching Mr. Buckaroony. He said, I don't listen to Macca. He said, and they don't sit there. Well, they just put it on the computer, everyone, probably get on with their work and just listen to me in the background. So Jonesy's on as well. G'day, Jonesy. Hope you're well, mate. And hope you're well too. Russ had a good chat with Russ last night, everyone. And enjoy your Sunday morning with Bucko, Russ, on the gate. Good stuff. Nathan Schilling's on. G'day, Nathan. How are you, mate? Ray Newman, I've already said g'day to Ray. Jennifer G down in Bowen. G'day, Jennifer. Hope you and Robbie are well. Toxaphilly saying g'day to everyone. Craig from out there touring saying happy Mother's Day to all the mums out there. Debbie Mawerk. G'day, Debbie. Happy Mother's Day to you. Jimmy Nauman, morning Buck and everyone else. Jimmy saying g'day. Phil McCavity, g'day Phil, how are you, mate? Hope you're well. Blue Dog, I wasn't allowed to vote in that visit as I have just moved. Oh, okay, so Blue Dog must be in the electorate of Farah, everyone, but hasn't changed his address over yet. So you can only, when you do change address, it's important that you update your address, everyone, so that you can vote in your new electorate there. So Kerry Bet said, sadly, we're on diesel. Yeah, I know. It's still not cheap, is it? It's come down a bit. But when you think about it, if it's $2.57 a litre here in Innisfail at the moment, that's still with the 32-cent rebate, the tax rebate, 26 tax and then a bit of GST as well. So it works out 32 cents. So if it wasn't for that rebate, it'd still be up around the $3 a litre mark, wouldn't it? Just under $3, which is bullshit. It should be down around the $60, $70 mark a litre. I can handle that. It's still too dear, isn't it? Anyway, I filled up the other day, half a tank. It was over $100 again. So, yeah, you notice it. Certainly better than, what did it get up to, everyone? $3.30 a litre, $3.20, $3.30 a litre? Newts is on. Hey, Newts, stay around this morning, mate. I'm going to be talking about the infantry combat badge and the Australian combat the Army combat badge, mate. I want to get your take on it. I've upset a few veterans already, mate. Not blokes I know either, just Johnny come latelys who must have seen my post on Facebook, and a couple of them are butthurt, mate. Couple of them are butthurt. I'm gonna give you my opinion. As I said, opinions are like arseholes, everyone. And I'll talk about this soon. Army combat badge, guys, which I now have. Not that I'll ever wear it. And I'll tell you why. Have I ever been in combat? No, I haven't. Only as I said on my Facebook page, the only combat I've seen is in the boozer on a Friday night after a dozen bundies, having a punch up with someone and trying to be funny. Anyway, there's some veterans have come on and got butthurt. Veterans are a very touchy-feely mob at the moment, and I'm one myself, everyone, but I call out No one can bullshit a bullshitter like a bullshitter. Don't bullshit a bullshitter, as they say, Newts. And a lot of veterans out there, guys, I call bullshit on them. Anyway, we'll talk about this morning. It's going to be controversial. I'm going to get a lot of veterans offside, and I do not give a fuck. Did I say no kids this morning, everyone? No kids this morning, everyone, because there might be some F words later on. And I've got a couple of rude Indian jokes to tell you. I reckon they're beauties. Because John and Dana are camping in Indian country at the moment, everyone, in Idaho. I've got a couple of funny Indian stories, jokes for you. Just little dad jokes, but they're to do with Indians, if I can remember them. I've already forgotten the first one. I have. I've forgotten the first one already. Dad, my brain is like a sieve now. I've got a lot of information up there, and it's all shit that I don't need to remember. And all the shit I need to remember, it goes in one ear. I forget it, but I can still remember muzzle velocities and weights of weapons and all the shit that I don't need to know anymore. But I can't remember shit that I need to know, like my grandkids' names and stuff like that. Ray Allen, g'day, mate. Hi, Buck and Roz. Filthy cockroaches, you guys meet at Mackay. We're back up here in Barracrab. Sorry, but I bought 2 King's Lights and Campmaster quick boiler like you showed. What do you think of them, Ray? I tell you now, mate, that Campmaster, the Jet Boil or the Campmaster from Kmart, mate, I've had 2 Jet Boils now, and both of the things have failed. The old Campmaster, it's still going, mate. And it's bigger than my Jet Boil. So, Gidgy Gorilla's on. G'day, Gidge. Mate, I used the King's Lights the other night. I was down the back room, and I was writing all the express bags and that up and going through all the Aussie shirts, getting them out, and the light down there wasn't real good. I was doing it, working through into the night, and I couldn't see properly because of the low light. I went out to the shed, got the King's Light, put it up, turned it on, and it was bloody brilliant, mate. That King's Light, and I had it on for hours and hours and didn't even look like getting dull. That's a good bit of kit, those extendable King's Lights, everyone. Highly recommended. Wait till they're on special and pick them up on special for about $99. Actually, I got 2 for $99 from memory, didn't I? I got 2 of them for $99. So wait till they come on order. Marky Lavelle's on. We're going to talk about the football score soon. G'day, Mark. How are you? Parramatta got up over my Cowboys the other night. Guys, what a weird game that was. Newt saying g'day to Gidgy. Who else we got on? Who haven't I said g'day to yet? It's probably a few of yous on that I've missed. Sorry if I have. Ray Allen, I've said g'day to you. Nick New, 245 in North Brisbane for diesel. Yeah, it's 257 up here at the moment. Quilpie, Tracy Lindenberg saying diesel was still 292 out in Quilpie, which is right out West Queensland, everyone. Yeah, still too dear, isn't it? Anyway, it's good to see a couple of yous just running the go and just going bugger it. We're going to go for a holiday. I mean, how long do we put our lives on hold just because of the cost of diesel, everyone? There's a time where you go, if you've got the money, you just go bugger it. It's going to be more expensive than we thought, but we still got to go out. So we'll be going on a few trips. We're going to Barracrab. That's an 8-hour drive for us and that. But, at the end of the day, you just got to cough out more for diesel at the moment, don't we? It's just a fact of life. It's either that or you just stay at home and be miserable. Anyway, there's no end in sight to this friggin' Iran thing, is it? It's just dragging on like a wet week now. That's just going nowhere. We filled our 4Runner up the other day with petrol or gas. I didn't realise this, Steve and Annie. John's saying that his 4Runner's got the same engine in it as your FJ Cruiser had. So it's a petrol engine, filled up 92 US. Yeah, I know. It's I watch a few American channels, John, and the Enforcers, they do a lot of war updates on the Iran war and the Ukraine war and that. And I'll show you where they live in a minute. They're from Salt Lake City. They've moved out to Salt Lake City. And even they're going on and people are going, oh, it's $8 a gallon. What's that? $2 a litre. We'll take that any day of the week, mate. $2 a litre. Oh, that's US. That's $2.30. Yeah, Well, at the end of the day, when you convert it from US dollars to Australian dollars, $2 a litre is probably 225, 230 a litre. So it's getting up there, mate, isn't it? If it's $8 a gallon, and then you do the conversion, it is getting expensive over in the US as well. Yeah, I didn't think about that when you do the conversion rate. 72 the other night, so 72 cents to the US dollar. So, Tracy went to Kings the other day and walked out with shit that I don't need. Yeah, I know. Welcome to Kings. Anyone who can walk into a Kings store and not buy anything, you're stronger than me, everyone. That's a good store now, isn't it? I know Mark Lavelle sent me a picture the other day. He goes, phone charger, and it come with a complimentary power pack or something. So Mark walked out with some gear from Kings the other day as well. Jamie Fulton was in there the other day. His picture hit the internet, and he was walking out with a trolley full of gear from Kings. Petty, I don't know. You've probably got a store like that over there, John, but the Kings, the Adventure King store here, the camping store, mate, they are good now. When they first started off, they were a bit rubbish, but they got some good gear in there now, mate, and it's a really good camping store to go into. The four-wheel drive supercenter stores, bloody really good. I'm glad Innisfail doesn't have one, or I'd be broke. Phil McCavity saying he's got a 230 litre long-range fuel tank on the Ranger Super Duty. Yeah. How's the Super Duty going, mate? You still happy with it, Phil? I know you were last time you spoke about your new Super Duty. Are you still happy with it? They had a decent size. What was the size tank? They didn't just have a normal 80 litre tank. Was that standard, the 230, mate? Is it standard 230, or did you get an even bigger one put on? I know that they had an extended range tank on there. Lorna McMillan, happy Mother's Day to you too. And Mara and all the mums out there, all the mums that are on this morning, happy Mother's Day. Enjoy your day, ladies. Yeah, Jamie's on, everyone. I saw him sneaking out of Kings the other day. Karen put a photo up, and he was sneaking out with a trolley full of gear from the King store as well. Anyway, let's get in. I've done enough shout-outs. It's 9:14. I'll come on early to do the shout-outs. I'll just spend half an hour talking shit to you. Righto, let's do some weather reports from around the world. Living Earth. So it's 9:14, Sunday morning here in Innisfail. 23 degrees, high of 26, light drizzle. Yeah, be nice to have a fine day. Slacking up in Toronto. I don't know if slacking's on yet. I had a ram try and run me from the lights last night. He wasn't happy. Gidgies. Yeah, watch out dragging people from lights, mate, in your Raptor. The cops see you doing it. They'll get you under the Hoon legislation and confiscate the Raptor off you. And then you'll be happy. They see a ram and a Raptor going at it from the lights, the old traffic coppers, they'll confiscate your cars under the Hoon legislation. If they think you're dragging each other. 7:14 last night in Toronto, 11 degrees and cloudy. Busselton, Western Australia, 9 degrees. So starting to cool down over in West Aussie, but sunny and 9 degrees. Only 7:15 in the morning over there. That's why it's 9 degrees. So, Loz, if you're watching, happy Mother's Day, Loz, my daughter. Hopefully Macy cooks your breakfast. Macy is 2 years old in 2 days, everyone. On the 12th of May, Macy, my granddaughter, my youngest grandkid, she's 2 years old in 2 days' time. Denver, Colorado. Mike Blakely over in Denver. It's 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Oh, nice day there, Mike. 23 and sunny in Denver, Colorado. John and Dana, Portland, Oregon. They're not in Portland at the moment, everyone. They are in the next state across in Idaho, and I'll bring a map up soon and show you where John is. What is it? 25 degrees Celsius and cloudy. Back home, John. Phil Weber over the ditch in Auckland, New Zealand, 17 degrees. And it's 11 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning in New Zealand. They're 3 hours ahead of us, the Kiwis. Anyone down in Melbourne, I've upset the VIX again. Did you see my Aussie Rules post on Facebook, everyone? What Aussie Rules looks like to someone who doesn't follow the game. It was funny. I had to post it up, and a couple of people got butthurt over it. Someone said, "Oh, better than that game where you stick your thumb up each other's ass." I don't know what he meant by that, but anyway, something to do with the scrum. Melbourne, same time as here now. They're back on normal time down in Melbourne. Protest down there again the other day. Every time there's a protest in this country, guess where it's from? Melbourne. Without fail. That is just the protest city. They will protest about anything down there, and the cops were giving them a touch-up too. It was good to see, because they're protesting about the government's getting tougher on the NDIS system, everyone, which they need to be, because that's just a bottomless pit. And they're cutting down on it. There's people protesting about it. So all the people who are on the gravy train, the NDIS gravy train, probably kicking up a stink now because the gravy train's drying up. We're all for the NDIS, everyone, for people who are disabled and whatever. No one's got a problem with that, but there's a lot of people in there just taking the piss, and it's got to stop. Melbourne, 13 and overcast. Sydney, 13 and sunny. Launceston, Lukey Reid, it's 8 degrees down in Launceston, everyone, and it's sunny. So nice cool morning, but it's sunny. Adelaide, anyone in Adelaide? Pete Donlan, down in South Aussie. 12 degrees and cloudy in Adelaide, South Australia. Darwin, Northern Territory, 24 and sunny. So it's already 24 degrees. It's not even 9 o'clock in the morning in the Territory. She's already 24, high of 32. 32 is a nice day in Darwin. Perth, 13 and sunny in Perth. Brisbane, who's down in Brizzy? 17 and cloudy in Brisbane, Gidgee. And we're back to me. So there you go. There's the weather report. Very exciting, wasn't it? Hope the weather's good wherever you are. Yeah, Mark, I don't know if you're on before, Mark, but we're doing a shout out to all the mums there, mate. But not only the mums that are with us, but the mums that are not with us too, mate. I know you lost your mum recently, so we'll be thinking of all those who don't have a mum with them anymore. We'll all be thinking of all the good times that you've had with your mum. So I know I do it on Father's Day. You always think back to all the wonderful times you had with your dad. And I'm sure those who haven't got a mum anymore, Mark, and there's probably some Maury's out there, all thinking all the wonderful memories that you had when mum was with us. Belinda Scott, yeah, we're in Adelaide, cloudy and cold. There you go, down there. Joshy Hatchie's down in Adelaide as well. Morning, Buck and all, down in South Aussie. Good to see you got some crow eaters on this morning, everyone. The old crow eater. How do you get that name? It's because you've got a crow on your bloody state flag. We've got sand gropers in Western Australia and crow eaters in South Australia. And pointy heads down in Tassie. G'day, Lukey. Albury. Well, Blue Dog. Very foggy and chilly in Albury this morning. Righto, speaking of Albury, everyone. Oh, no, I've got to do the footy scores. Let's go through the footy scores. Dolphins. Roz was pretty happy. Dolphins had a big win over the Bulldogs on Thursday night, everyone. Fins up. Dolphins 44, Bulldogs 12. Doggies having a bad year, aren't they? They were, this time last year, they were first on the ladder. They were coming first, everyone, and I don't think they're even in the 8 this year. So they're having a shit year. Roosters, watch them. They're a good team. They're going to be up there at the end of the year, everyone. Sydney Roosters 28, Gold Coast Titans 12. Titans went okay. Oh, this game. The Cowboys should have won this, everyone. Should have. But they didn't respect the ball. They dropped the ball at the wrong time through intercept passes. Parramatta 33, Marky Lavelle. We were texting each other during the game. Parramatta, the Cowboys, I thought were the better team, but they couldn't put Parramatta away, everyone. Parramatta did not go away, and when that happens, it's usually, that's for a reason. Parramatta 33, Cowboys 30. Cowboys were at home too, so the Cowboys didn't respect the ball and they deserved to lose. They need to pull their fingers out of their ass. That was winnable game for them, and they blew it. Tom Dearden's out for 8 weeks now. We've lost him for Queensland Origin, everyone, all the Queenslanders. We lost Tommy Dearden. He's a big loss to Queensland and a big loss to the Cowboys. St. George Dragons, how bad are they going? They need to be dropped back to the New South Wales Cup. Newcastle Knights 44, St. George Dragons 10. Dragons, terrible. I'll tell you another team going well this year. South Sydney Rabbitohs, everyone. 36 beat the Cronulla Sharks last night, 12. And Paulie Martin's Manly, everyone. How good are they going since Kieran Foran's come in to coach them? Manly 32, Broncos 4. Brisbane Broncos got some problems too, haven't they? Broncos looked ordinary last night. They looked ordinary. Anyway, well done to Manly. Manly's going really good. Good to see. Good to see Manly doing well. Yeah, Nathan, Tigers are on today, mate. Melbourne Storm, which are going real bad. If I was a Tiger supporter, Nathan, I'd be worried about the Storm. The Storm, they've lost 7 in a row now or something. They must be due for a win, mate. So Melbourne Storm today at home to the West Tigers. And this will be a good game. Canberra Raiders versus the Penrith Panthers. That's the Channel 9 game tonight at 4 o'clock, everyone. That'll be a good game. That'll be a good game. Canberra and Penrith this afternoon. Looking forward to watching that one for Mother's Day. Cats had a big win, Buck. Geelong Cats had a big win. And apparently, my daughter, Lauren, apparently the Dockers are on top of the ladder at the moment. She's a Freo Dockers supporter. And apparently Freo was on top of the ladder last week. So good to see Freo going well again. I don't follow the Aussie rules. Oh, just choked on my own saliva. I hate that. Yeah, Nathan said, I'm worried Storm will click soon. Yeah, it's going to happen, Nathan. And it'll probably happen today against your Tigers, mate. Unfortunately for you. Anyway, we'll see. Tigers weren't good last week, were they? Righto, everyone. Let's get on to the election. Let's get on to the election. There was a by-election last night in the federal electorate of Farrer, which is southwestern New South Wales, and a couple of the big towns there. Albury, which is a beautiful big town, isn't it? Albury, Griffith, Deniliquin, someone from Deniliquin on, Narendra, Hay, a few of those towns. So southwestern New South Wales. That was Susan Lee's, the former opposition leader, and as you know, she got chucked out as opposition leader by Angus Taylor and resigned. So they had to have a by-election. That was a strong Liberal seat, everyone. It was held by the former Liberal Party's boss, Susan Lee, and they got annihilated last night, the Liberal Party, and good shit. Good shit. Can anyone explain why Labor didn't even have anyone in the running for there? I wonder why. Can anyone explain why Labor didn't even put a candidate up? Maybe they knew what was going to happen there. But anyway, David Fairley, who was the One Nation Party member, he shitted in last night. And I'll tell you now, everyone, this is a reflection of how this country is feeling at the moment. I think a lot of Australians have had, I'm going to swear now, no kids have had a fucking gutful of how this country's going, everyone. I know I have. Everyone has had an absolute gutful of how this country is going. And I'm not just going to sit here and rag out on Labor at the moment. I'll leave them out of it for a bit until I talk about the ISIS brides. I'm going to talk about the Liberal Party. They are in disarray and they got absolutely flogged in the by-election. So primary votes, as you know, we work on preference voting here in Australia, but the primary vote last night, David Fairley, One Nation, 39.4%. This was when it closed last night. They still got some counting today. The Independent got 28%. Liberal Party, 12% of the vote. The Liberals, it was their seat, everyone, and they got 12.4%. The Nationals, 9.8%. They are, and as they said on the people commentating last night, they just didn't get beaten. They got absolutely annihilated. And that just shows that I think most people have had a gutful of the two big parties, everyone, Labor and Liberal. We've had a gutful. The Liberal Party is just going nowhere and doing nothing. They're doing nothing for this country at the moment. Instead of teaming up with One Nation against Labor, they spent the whole bloody 6 or 8 weeks of this by-election trying to hang shit on One Nation. And did you see that little grub Patterson? There was an old retired guy on the One Nation, he in and out One Nation thing, and Patterson went up with his phone and rage baited him. Like that James Patterson. Got shoulders on him like a brown snake. I didn't mind that Patterson. He's lost all my respect now, that Liberal senator. He went up there, and I'll tell you what, it's a shame that that old fella in the One Nation shirt, the old retired fella, didn't put one on his chin. Went up there, baiting him, rage baiting him, and had the mobile phone out, filming the whole thing. And then when old mate realised that he was getting filmed, he grabbed the phone off James Patterson, and then James turned into a Karen. Oh, you've assaulted me and all this. When you go up into someone's face with a mobile phone, you deserve to have your teeth shoved down your throat, everyone. You want to film someone, do it from a distance. There's no law against getting your phone out and filming something. But you don't walk up to someone and jam a phone in their face, because you'll get your teeth jammed down your throat. So One Nation had the last laugh last night. That David Fairley seems like a pretty fair dinkum Aussie guy, speaks like an Aussie. I think he's pretty down to earth. And One Nation now, everyone, has finally got someone in the lower house. They've got a member of parliament. And I'll tell you now, it won't be the last one. I reckon in the next election, One Nation, there's going to be a lot of orange seats in the lower house, because this country is at an absolute gutful of Labor and Liberal. If anyone can sit back now and say they're happy with the way this country is going, I'd love to sit down and have a coffee with you and go, mate, what drugs are you on at the moment? Because we're in a world of hurt, aren't we? We are. The whole bloody, that little Patterson, smug little prick, and the old fella should have put one on his chin, mate. Actually, when Patterson first went over to him, he went over to him filming, and the old fella didn't know he was filming. He had the phone down low, and the old fella was actually giving him some compliments and said, the Liberal Party, I don't mind yourself and Andrew Hastie. And he was being quite polite to James Patterson. James Patterson kept picking about David Fairley. Oh, he used to be a Labor Party member, and just kept rage baiting him, basically. And then it started getting a bit heated. The old fella started biting back at him. And then when it finally got real heated and old mate saw that he was getting filmed, he's grabbed the phone off James Patterson and said, don't friggin' film me without telling me you're doing it, mate. Blah, blah, blah. And then Patterson, oh, that's assault. Just being a little Karen. So that James Patterson, scrawny, weedy looking little prick he is, he's the shadow defence minister, everyone. He's the shadow defence minister, and he wouldn't know a tank from a submarine. Unbelievable. He's quite a knowledgeable guy. He's a Liberal senator. Always on Sky News. Now, he's quite an intelligent guy, and I didn't mind him, but the way he went up and baited that One Nation guy, and that's what they said. Sky News come on and said, what are Liberal Party doing? You've declared war on One Nation. You're supposed to be declaring war on the Labor Party. They're the ones killing this country at the moment, and they're spending all their energy going after One Nation instead of joining together with them. Well, guess what, Liberals? You ain't the big dog on the block anymore. There's a new sheriff in town. It's called One Nation Party. You need to get on board with them. Otherwise, next election, we're going to cop the Labor Party again, everyone. And then we'll be well and truly fucked. All right, that's how I see it. I know some of you might disagree with me on that, but well done to One Nation, everyone. After preference voting, it's like One Nation 60% and the independent 40% after preferences. So One Nation shit it in. And it's just a taste of what we're in for. And if we keep going the way we're going in the next election, Pauline Hanson, she's getting more powerful, everyone. And I know she's not the sharpest tool in the shed, old Pauline, but she wears her heart on her sleeve. And at the moment, I think she's what we need in charge to get immigration under control and a few issues that are really affecting this country. I'll tell you now, if she was the Prime Minister, there's no way those friggin' terrorists would have got back into the country. the ISIS brides. Let's just call them terrorists because that's what they are. There's no way they would have got on a plane and made it back into this country if Pauline Hanson was at the helm. You watch, they'll go through the court. This is going to cost us millions of dollars to put them before court now. You reckon they're going to go to prison after they get sentenced? They'll get released. You watch. I'll put my left one on that. Yeah. Farah's mainly a rural seat. Yeah, I know where One Nation's going to come down is, and it always comes down to the inner Melbourne, inner Brisbane, inner Sydney, where all the seats are. And who hangs around in those places? All the fucking lefties. So most of your country folk, we've all had a gutful of the way this country's going, everyone. It's the inner city people. And that's where unfortunately for us, that's where most of the seats are, everyone. Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane. There's a lot of seats in there. And that's what gets Labor over the line. I'll tell you what they need to do is the Liberals need to they need to start, One Nation and Liberal Party need to preference each other if they're got any chance of beating Labor in the next election. Pete McMurtry's on. He got his Aussie shirts the other day, everyone. Anyway, so there you go. That's about so well done to One Nation. Finally got someone in the lower house. 150 members of parliament, and One Nation's finally cracked in and got one down there. So that's good to see. Righto. Something special, everyone. How to like me hat. Does anyone know what BRS stands for? That's just my support. I got on to Brett at SMG Sports, said, Brett, I like those blue. I had one of these blue camouflage hats, and I sent it over to Robbie in Canada, Slack and Son. And I said, Brett, you still got those? He said, yeah, I can get them from Hip Pocket in Toowoomba. So I said, get me two, and I've got one with yellow writing, and I've got one with blue writing. The blue, I like the blue one better. It's got dark blue embroidery on there. Ben Robert Smith, everyone. That's just my way of supporting Ben, as you know. I don't like the way he was arrested. I don't like the fact he was arrested at all. And the way he was arrested was absolutely putrid. I still think it's putrid, and that's the reason I handed my medals in disgust. But anyway, the day after he was arrested and he went to prison, and then I heard that he didn't get bail. The first time he didn't get bail, and he was in Silverwater Prison. I got on Google and went, mailing address for Silverwater Prison, and it came up on Google, and I went, I'm going to write Ben a letter. So I wrote Ben Robert Smith a letter, everyone. And I won't say what I put in there, but I just basically a letter of support saying we're all proud of him. We're all, we're with him. We're thinking of him and his family. We don't like what's been done to you. We hate the fact that you were taken off the plane in front of your daughters and all this type of stuff. Anyway, and I said to Ben, told Ben that I served in the regiment as well for 4 years over there. Before he was there, I didn't know Ben, but I served over there in a support role for 4 years. I was posted to the SAS regiment, everyone, and went to East Timor with them, which we'll talk about soon. And we used to play for the same rugby team, Associates rugby union team. A lot of the regiment boys used to play for Soaks over there in West Aussie. And Ben played for Soaks when he was at the regiment as well. I played for Soaks for 4 years. And I told him all this in the letter and told him I was the SQMS of 152 Signal Squadron, which was one of the 6 squadrons in the SAS regiment, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I was there one day. I thought, I wonder if Ben ever got my letter. Anyway, I went to the mailbox last Wednesday, this week just gone, and there's a letter in there. And I went, I wonder who this is from. Turn the letter over, and it's from Ben Robert Smith, everyone. Ben wrote me a letter back. So he did get my letter that I wrote him in prison. It got to him. Yeah, it was a shit show, the arrest. It was absolutely disgraceful. I'm going to re-get the letter, everyone. This is the way I've already laminated it. I'll probably get it framed too. It's not every day you get a letter from a Victoria Cross recipient. There's nothing in here I don't think Ben would want me to think. So obviously Ben got some letters when he was in prison, and he finally got bail, everyone, and he's got back home to the Gold Coast and has sat down and written a letter back. And I'm sure if anyone else wrote Ben a letter, he would have written them a letter too. So 27th of April, he wrote this letter. Dear Buck, I wanted to reply to your letter, which I received while I was in Silverwater. Thank you for the support and very kind words you've offered, mate. It truly means a great deal to my family and I to have your support. I also agree that most veterans are disgusted by this witch hunt, as it is an attack on all of our service and the sacrifices we have made. I have mentioned in the press, I understand that this will be a long road. However, I will approach it as I did with my military service and fight with focus, discipline, and integrity. In the end, I'm confident these allegations will be dismissed and the agenda-driven institutions that continue to hound me will be overhauled, i.e. Channel 9 and the fucking ABC, you putrid pieces of shit. Mate, let me finish by saying thank you for your service, and I hope that life is treating you and your family well. Best wishes, Ben Robert Smith, VC MG, which is Victoria Cross Medal for Gallantry. And then he's put "Who Dares Wins" on there, which is the SAS motto, everyone. That's the motto of the SAS regiment. Excuse me for a minute. If I can get this off. There it is there. That's the SAS badge. I actually wore that on my hat when I was over at the regiment for 4 years. The regiment boys, that's the winged dagger, and it's the same badge that the British SAS used, the New Zealand SAS, the winged dagger there. So I wore that on my beret for 4 years over at the regiment, but I wore a blue beret. I wasn't SAS qualified. The SAS boys get a sandy beret, and you'll see a picture of it soon with Ben. They get a sandy beret on their head. And let me tell you guys, what they go through to get that sand-coloured beret on their head, unbelievable. Tough men. The amount of courses that they need to do before they get to a Sabre squadron and get to an SAS Sabre squadron. It's like almost like 2 years of back-to-back tough courses to get into a Sabre squadron. They're just incredible guys. They really are. I was there in a support role. Got to do some good stuff with them. And they're just good lads. And when you're in a support role, they really made you feel like part of the team. As long as you were good at your job and you bloody did what you needed to do, I was there to support them with communications and a lot of other stuff there. I used to look after all the regiment's communications equipment and everything, guys, and some other stuff. And they just bloody, as long as you did your job, they just made you feel like part of the team. They were just good lads. I used to play rugby with them and drink with them, and like they're just good lads, but very, very professional. There's the letter, everyone. So I'm not bullshitting you. Look at the signature there. Ben Robert Smith, and he's even put VC MG. Who Dares Wins. How good's that? That made my day. I was like on cloud 9 the other day when I got that letter. Just absolutely incredible. And to think that Ben would bloody just reply to a letter from me, that means a lot to me. Just shows you the type of bloke he is. Obviously, getting a letter from a former soldier and someone who served in the same unit as him. I sent it. I thought, this bloke's sitting there in a prison cell at the moment thinking, how did my life get here? I've been over on 6 deployments to Afghanistan, fighting the baddies, and in a really horrible, ugly war where you didn't know who the enemy was. Everyone over there was trying to kill you. And here he is in a prison cell. I just put myself in his shoes and thought, you must just sit there and go, why did I even bother doing all this for my country? And here I am in a prison cell. I got very upset when he got arrested, everyone. It affected me greatly. And I couldn't let it go. For a couple of weeks there, I was in a bad state. I was just really depressed and just so angry and ashamed at how this country has treated our veterans. It was disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. Anyway, as far as I'm concerned, he was over there killing baddies, everyone. Because everyone over there that had a mobile phone or a radio in their hand was trying to set off a bomb or trying to plant bombs or trying to come up with some bloody way to kill Australian soldiers over there. And, Ben was the one, him and the other SAS boys, they were the ones who were sent into villages to kick doors in and to kill these people who are trying to kill coalition soldiers by planting IED bombs and all that sign on the side of the road. It wasn't a standard war where there were normal rules of engagement, whereas like they've got a uniform on, and if they don't have a weapon in their hand, you're not allowed to shoot them. It wasn't that kind of war. The SAS boys weren't working under those rules of engagement, everyone. They were authorised to go into a village if someone had been intercepted by our electronic warfare operators and they were on a phone. Taliban probably didn't know that we had equipment where you can listen into a radio or a mobile phone conversation, and we had interpreters, and they're saying, yeah, they're down in that village talking about planting an IED bomb at that bloody road junction for the patrol coming through tomorrow. So they used to send SAS boys in and put a bullet in their head because they were terrorists, everyone. But obviously, they've somehow turned that into war crimes. It's absolute bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. Anyway, I've got a letter from Ben Robert Smith, everyone. You're wondering who Ben is, or you don't even know what I'm talking about. Maybe John over there in Idaho at the moment. There he is there, everyone. That's Ben. And that's the, you can see there, he's bloody in his uniform. So he's obviously at the Australian War Memorial, the Remembrance Wall at the Australian War Memorial. He's got his sand-coloured beret on and the SAS badge. Anyone posted to the unit, didn't matter what job, even the cooks. Even the cooks over there, we just didn't wear the sandy-coloured beret. You had to be a very special sort of person to have that beret on your head, everyone. If you see a soldier that's got those wings on those particular parachute wings on his uniform and a sandy beret, you know they've been through some of the toughest courses in the world to get that beret on their head. Anyway, there's Ben with his bloody infantry combat badge, the top ribbon there, the Victoria Cross, the crimson-coloured one, and the orange one is the Medal for Gallantry. So this guy, that you don't get them in from one thing, he's obviously earned the Victoria Cross by storming machine gun posts and all that type of stuff and killing, you read what he's done. He killed blokes in hand-to-hand combat to get that Victoria Cross. And then in some other one of his 6 deployments to Afghanistan, he's also earned the Medal for Gallantry, which is the same one Huggo's got, everyone, who I had on the show the other day. That's the 3rd highest bravery award in the face of enemy. So he's got the highest and the 3rd highest bravery award. The guy has been there and done that. He has done some shit. So anyway, that's Ben there, everyone. Proud of that photo. That's Ben Robert Smith when he went after he got his Victoria Cross. And normally, if you're in England, the Pommy soldiers will be issued the Victoria Cross, presented the Victoria Cross by the Queen herself. Ben got his awarded in Australia by the Governor General at the time, who's the Queen's representative. But that, Ben ended up over in England, and he got to meet the Queen, the late Queen, Queen Elizabeth II. What a wonderful monarch she was. And that's Ben with the Queen. She's probably looking at him going, geez, these Aussies are big blokes, aren't they? Ben's 6'7", built like a brick shithouse, and he's with the Queen. That's just makes me proud to be Australian seeing that photo there. Yeah. He's a man amongst men, Phil. A true gentleman. Absolutely he is, mate. He is. And you only had to see how at the Currumbin Dawn service the other day for Anzac Day, Ben was there and they were interviewing him, and it wasn't about him. He said, this is about Anzac Day and remembering the Anzacs and all that. And, Ben's very well spoken. And the amount of people that came up wanted their photo taken with him, shaking his hand in support while he's on bail at the moment, as we know, facing 5 counts of war crime murder, which is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Anyway, just because one of the blokes he shot at a prosthetic leg and that became a drinking implement at the Fat Lady's Arms boozer over in Tarin Kowt in Afghanistan. And a bit of black humor, everyone. How do soldiers and prison screws and coppers and that who are exposed to some pretty black stuff and horrible stuff, how do we deal with it? Black humor. And to the average civilian, will probably go, like just shake their head at that. I've been part of it, everyone. Dead bodies and stuff like that. You get back to the police station and you try and find something funny out of such a shit situation. I don't know. It's called black humor, and that's how prison screws and coppers and soldiers deal with it. It's called black humor, and it works. They shot a bloke. He was a terrorist, everyone. He's bloody, just because he had one leg, a prosthetic leg, doesn't mean he couldn't get on a phone and organise about planting IED bombs and that to try and kill Australian troops. Anyway, they went in and capped him, and they souvenired his leg, and it became a drinking. I'm sure they rinsed it out first, and they used to fill it up with beer and drink out of it at the fat lady's arms. That's not a war crime, everyone. That's just, I know some people out there will go, it's sick, but it's black humor. That's how the side, and it wasn't Ben. Ben shot the guy, but every soldier that went into the fat lady's arms, and it wasn't just Australian soldiers, has probably drunk out of that leg. They interviewed a female soldier. She was a medic or a clerk or something over there, and they were talking to her, the media, and they said, well, did you drink out of the leg? Thinking she'd say, oh, no, only the SAS boys did that. And she went, yeah, I've had a drink out of the leg. She was like a clerk or something, everyone. Anyone who went into that boozer, they were interviewing grunt humour, exactly right, Byron. They were interviewing some guys on bravery and betrayal the other night. If you haven't seen that, make sure you watch it on the SAS, Australian SAS. Wonderful documentary, 2 hours. It's on Channel 7, everyone. Go on to Channel 7 and watch it, Bravery and Betrayal. And they talked about that. They were talking to some American pilots that worked with the Australian SAS boys. And the American pilots had nothing but great things to say about our commandos and SAS. Said, some of the best troops you will ever see. And they said one of the best nights, this is he's now a colonel, American Black Hawk pilot. He said one of the best nights we ever had in Afghanistan is when the Aussies invited us to the Fat Lady's Arms boozer pub at Tarankout, and we had got on the piss with the Aussies. They didn't mention the leg, but as soon as he said that, I thought, those Yanks have had a drink out of that prosthetic leg, no doubt about it. Anyone who would have come into that boozer would have had a skull out of that leg. That's how you deal with. It's gallows humor. Phil McCavity saying, yeah, I know, and a lot of people might think it's sick and whatever. It's just how soldiers probably dealt with being in that horrible place. You have to do what you need to protect your mental health. If you haven't, yeah, I know. And we used to do it in the prison all the time, Russ. We used to go into some pretty horrific shit. Blokes, people who'd been badly assaulted, people that had slashed their necks open with a razor blade and their arms open with a razor blade. How did we deal with it? In debriefs, we'd have a debrief and someone would always manage to crack a joke and find something funny out of it. That is how we dealt with those situations. And I've no doubt that the soldiers in Afghanistan dealt with it as well. One of the boys, me and Russ knows, and Jared, he was on a patrol. He was in 1RAR over in Afghanistan, everyone. A suicide bomber let himself go. And Jared told me this himself when I was still at the prison. We got tall. The army boys used to hover towards each other and start telling stories and that. And Jared said, yeah, he said, we had a suicide bomber let himself go in amongst some women and children one day. And when we got back to the medical centre, once we got back inside the wire, we had to all go to the medical centre. Our boys thought they had shrapnel all in their arms and neck and all that. It was bits of bone fragments from all the people that had blown up that the boys got. So they had human bone fragments in them. You know, that's the type of stuff our troops went through in Afghanistan, everyone. And to have the media sit there and rag out on them is absolute bullshit. That's why I was so angry over the way he got treated. He's a hero as far as I'm concerned. I don't care if they went into the grey area and started capping baddies over there. I don't care. He's not walking around Australia picking on little kids and sexually abusing little kids. And then we see what's happened with these terrorists coming in off the plane the other day and all these grubs with their big beards and no moustaches and that and their hoodies punching journalists in the stomach and that. Come on. And then they're going after blokes like Ben. Anyway, that's getting around. It's my seeing a lot of people using that as their Facebook profile at the moment. I support Ben Robert Smith. Absolutely, I do. Absolutely, I do. So I'll remove that. Anyway, I got the letter from Ben, everyone, and it was a pretty proud moment. And I'll hang that up, probably up on my pin board there. So Russ, if you want to show, I've sent that to Russ. I said, look what I've got, mate. And I know there's a few Army boys Russ works with at the prison that would love to see that. And that's pretty special. Ben Robert Smith, VC, MG, and he's put Who Dares Wins there, which is the SAS motto, everyone. I think it's even on there. It's even on the badge. You can't see it there, but it's even got Who Dares Wins on the badge. So there you go. Nathan saying, no civilian will ever understand what our military people go through or our emergency responders. No, you've got to have done the job, Nathan, but it's good that 99% of the civilian population respect what our SAS boys and our commandos, Heston, Russell, and that went through. The ABC, everyone, doctored footage to try and turn Heston Russell, who's just a magnificent human being, tried to make Heston Russell out to be a war criminal, saying he put 8 rounds into a bloody civilian there. And then when it came out in court, the ABC's doctored the footage. They presented this footage. Look at Heston shooting this unarmed civilian in Afghanistan, and then Heston presents the real footage, and it turns out that the ABC's doctored the footage and thrown extra gunshots in there, and Heston wasn't even the one on the rifle. It wasn't even Heston on the weapon. Heston was back in the helicopter, given the orders and that, and it turns out it was a couple of warning shots, but they doctored in some footage from another firefight to make it look like they were shooting this unarmed thing. It came out in court. How did anyone not go to jail from the ABC over that? How did someone not hit a jail cell over presenting false evidence before a court? Perverting the course of justice. Isn't there a charge for that? Perverting the course of justice? Why isn't someone from the ABC in a prison cell right now for perverting the course of justice? Why wasn't the ABC closed down and defunded after that? I do not know. Anyway, I've been missing a lot of your stuff, everyone. I just wanted to get that off my chest. You know where I stand with Ben Robert Smith, and bloody a lot of veterans out there do. People are going, oh, the veterans come out and talking about him. I've no doubt that some of the people that were with Ben Robert Smith maybe weren't cut out. It was dirty work that they were doing, everyone. And putting a bullet in someone's head when they haven't got a weapon in their hand probably goes against the grain for the majority, for even a lot of soldiers to do. But that was their rules of engagement over there. They were authorised to do it. It was a dirty war, and there were probably some guys that just weren't cut out to do that. I understand that. It's not something that a normal Australian soldier would be subjected to. But our commandos and our SAS boys were sent in to, I'll say the word, assassinate friggin' terrorists. It was better to do it that way than the Americans to send in a Hellfire missile from a Reaper drone 30,000 feet above and taking out women and children along with them. That's why we sent commandos and sent a small group of men in to take them out, because you hit the target and there was no collateral damage of women and children. This will all come out in court, everyone. I'm sure it will. Anyway, what else we got to talk about? Heaps of shit. So there's the Ben Robert Smith thing, everyone. The ISIS brides. Oh, come on. Why were they even let back in the country at all, everyone? How did they get back in the country? Can anyone explain? They should never have seen Australian soil ever again, the women or children. I don't give a shit. You see the picture of one of the ISIS fighters had his son, who's an Australian kid, holding the severed head up of probably some Christian that they just lobbed his head off, and had his son holding the head up. That son's coming back into this country, probably going to end up at one of your kids' schools. Come on. They should never have been allowed in there. Yeah, Angus Campbell hiding. I'm going to talk about that piece of shit in a minute, Byron, when I get onto the infantry combat badge and the Australian combat badge, mate. Yeah, women were slaves. Yeah, just putrid, eh? Absolutely. We all know we don't want those type of people in this country, everyone. We don't want those types of people in this country. The types of people we saw on the news the other night, those arseholes with their big black beards, no moustaches, the hoodies, you can just tell they don't like this country. They hate us for what we are. And then one of them punched a female reporter in the stomach and called her an SLUT. Did you see? I'm sure you all saw that on the news. That's the type of people we got in this country. Anyway, there's only one way to fix that, and that's to vote One Nation in, everyone. And then we'll see a lot of them get fucked off out of this country. We need to, as I said, I'm not anti-immigration. We need to slow it down, and then when we do start bringing people into this country, we bring in decent people that have that respect our way of life and want to associate, just become a good person when you come here. I don't care what religion or colour skin you got, but we don't want people in this country that just hate our way of life and hate who we are, hate our religion, hate us because we got white skin. You can't have that. We all need to get together. This bloody country was made on immigration. The Greeks and the Italians and even Germans, the Irish, the English. That's what makes us a great country. And now we've got a lot of the people from undesirable countries coming in here. And look what's happening. Look what's happening down in Melbourne. We let the bloody, I won't say the name of that. You know who I'm talking about, guys. That bloody country in Central Africa that love running around machetes and hacking people up. That's what they do over in their own country. And then they come over here and do the same fucking thing. And we seem to think it's fucking acceptable. Cops should be bloody putting fucking lead rounds into that between their eyes. So how you fix that? Yeah, no ISIS in Farah. Yeah, I know. We don't want that, do we? Just come here. If you come here, just be a decent person. I spoke to a mate the other day. He's a copper here in town. Good mates with him. And his wife's from Vietnam. They got a little kid together. And his wife's a lovely lady. And she's going for her citizenship test next month and going to become an Australian citizen. And she's just a really, really lovely person. Vietnamese lady. They've got a kid together now. And she's just a wonderful person. They're the types of people we want in here. People that want to, Chris said she's going to go to her Aussie when she gets, does her Aussie citizenship. She's got a green and gold dress to wear and some Aussie kangaroo earrings and all that. They're the types of people we want becoming Aussie citizens, not people who hate us for who we are. It's bullshit. Yeah. That letter going straight in the pool room. Yeah, I know, Mark. It'll go proudly up here, mate. I'll never get rid of that. Very proud of that, mate. Not every day you get a letter from someone who's been awarded the Victoria Cross and a Medal for Gallantry. Unbelievable. That was Wednesday afternoon was pretty special for me. Yeah, and that's right. That's what Trump said. Import the third world, become the third world. It's true, everyone. It's not being racist. It's true. But we just seem to be, I just feel like our country is being friggin' on purpose, everyone. They don't care what we think. It's like there's a hidden agenda and it's been driven from, I don't know where it's been driven from, but no one's listening to us. I'll start fucking listening when the orange shirts start getting voted in instead of Labor or Liberal. The Liberal Party have been piss poor, everyone. Opposition party is supposed to pull the government on when they are making decisions that the majority of Australians do not agree with. Angus Taylor should be up there, and Phil Thompson and Andrew Hastie and all the other Liberals should be kicking up a massive stink over this. And they're not. They're just sitting back, doing what they're told to do. I've no doubt there's a larger force that govern the Labor and Liberal parties. There's a larger force at play. I don't know what it is. I'll put my tinfoil hat on if you want, but I'm convinced now that there's something bigger than our two big parties that are directing them. They're like puppets on a string at the moment. And we're just sitting back watching our country decay, everyone. Watching Australia, every day you turn the news on, it's like a bit more's been chipped out of us. A bit more's been chipped out of us. And it's not the Australia we were all fucking brought up in, everyone. Back in the 70s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. Great country. Still is a good country, don't get me wrong, but fuck, it's nowhere near where it used to be. Someone said to me the other day, an old fella, I think we've seen the best times, mate. I think you and me are lucky we got to live through the good times because they're fucking not here now. I feel sorry for our kids and our grandkids, and I agree with him. I feel sorry for my grandkids that are going to grow up through this shit. We need to turn it around. And we need to turn it around next election, everyone. And fucking the Liberal Party ain't the answer at the moment, are they? Mr. Bullet, you grumpy old prick, how are you? Hope you're well. Now, let's get on to this. I'm going to upset some veterans, everyone. Newts, if you're still in the house. I follow a lot of military pages, everyone, on Facebook and that. All different sorts of military pages. Anyway, they all seem to be wearing this badge. All had that badge on, and a while ago I went, what's that badge everyone's wearing? What's that badge that everyone's wearing? Cross swords, cross bayonets, whatever they are, a wreath around the outside. Google it, it's the Army Combat Badge. And I thought, what's the Army Combat Badge? That didn't exist when I was in the Army. Anyway, when I was in, everyone, there was a thing called the ICB. Newts has got it, and it's probably some other guys. Phil McCavity's probably got it. The ICB, Infantry Combat Badge, everyone. And it's issued to infantry, guys who are in infantry corps only. The ICB. And it was something the infantry boys were proud to wear on their shirt. And you had to have been in a war zone for 90 days or something. I think it's I haven't got the ICB word in here, but I think it's the same. Being on warlike operations. So the combat badge, and this is where I'm going to debate this a bit later on, the combat badge doesn't mean you've been in combat, everyone, in the Australian Army. It just means you've been in a war zone for 90 days or more, okay? And if an infantry guy like Newts, who went to Somalia or went to East Timor, Newts, I'm sure you would have got one for Somalia, mate. Warlike operations for 90 days or more, you get the infantry combat badge. Doesn't mean you've had bullets cracking over your head or whatever. Anyway, there's obviously a lot of correct. Okay, so I was right there. Somalia and East Timor. East Timor during the interfet, the first 6 months, everyone. Not when the United Nations took over from interfet for the first 6 months when it was kind of real dangerous, when the Indonesians and the militia was still in there, and then the United Nations took after. Anyone who went there after that, I'm not sure if they got the ICB. Newts, did they get the ICB if they went to East Timor as part of the United Nations? Did they still get the ICB for that? I'm not sure. Anyway, then they brought this out. What's that for? Well, I'll read it out just quickly, everyone. Hang in there. If you're not non-military, you're probably not interested in this. To be eligible for the Australian Army Combat Badge, the ACB, not the ICB, the ACB, personnel must meet specific criteria related to their service, unit, and location. The purpose of the Army Combat Badge is to recognise members who have served in warlike operations in a direct combat role or in direct support of a combat team. There's the grey area. I'll talk about that soon. That have served in warlike operations, which is East Timor, was classed. We got the AASM, the Australian Active Service Medal, for going to East Timor because it was classed as warlike operations. Blokes in my unit, everyone, 2 blokes in my unit were actually shot over there. Blokes from 3 Squadron. Mark got one through the neck and it missed his spine by 2 millimetres in an ambush. And Ronnie got his lower leg shattered by a bullet from some Indonesian-backed militia. Steve Oddie took a patrol out and got into an hour and a half fighting withdrawal. And when I spoke to Steve in the sergeant's mess back at the regiment, he said, they were no fucking militia, mate. He said, we took a few of them out too. He said, they were fucking Indonesian TNI, which is Indonesian regulars. So the Indonesians had their grubby paws all over that shit there. So, yeah, Steve said, I have no doubt that they were T&I. He said, we got a fucking few of them too, which is good shit. That's on Google, everyone. The Battle of, it's a big long word, and Steve Oddie, Sergeant Steve Oddie was the patrol commander. I spoke to Steve in the sergeant's mess after that, and he gave me a quick rundown on it. And they did a fighting withdrawal for about an hour and a half. He said every time we do a fighting withdrawal, there was a lot of them, they'd bump us again. Another fighting withdrawal, hour and a half fighting withdrawal until they actually got the Black Hawks in to do they got evacuated, they got choppered out under fire. No injuries on that one, but he said we left a few of them lying on the ground when we left. Good stuff. Don't fuck with SAS patrol is the moral of that story. Service requirement, must be a member of the Australian Army. Force assignment. You must be force assigned to an arms corps unit, battle group, or combat team. There's the grey area, everyone. There's the grey area. I'm going to talk about this soon because there's a lot of people walking around with this on their shirt that I've seen. And I go, how the fuck did you get an Army combat badge on your shirt? Anyway, controversy coming up. Stand by. I'm going to upset some people. Duration, 90 days service in a warlike zone. Direct support. If not directly in a combat team, as in an infantry section or an SAS patrol or a commando patrol or something like that, you must have been physically deployed in the same location and in a primary role providing direct support to that combat team for a 90-day period. That's where I come in, guys. I was actually posted to I was actually in the SAS regiment in a support role. I was the S4 over there, the senior logistics guy for the SAS regiment. I went over as the RQ Newts, I took over from the RQMS mate over there. When one squadron took over from 3 squadron, I went over as the RQMS. So I was actually in the unit. I was in the SASR. We're called Response Force over there. And that's how I was directly in the unit. SASR is an infantry unit. Everyone, I was there for 4 years. You must have been satisfactory service. Yeah, so where they come in here now is they go direct support or force assigned to an arms corps unit, battle group, or battle team. Force assigned. This is where the grey area comes in, everyone. And I've seen a lot of people. I'm just going to go back and I'll bring it up. Add to stage. There's the ACB, Army Combat Badge. I got it the other day, everyone, in the mail. How did I get it? I read up about it and I rang up the Honours and Awards place in Canberra and a major answered the phone. I said, "G'day, sir. How are you?" I said, "Paul Rods, I've been retired for 20 years now." I said, "I'm just wondering if I'd fill the criteria for this." And he said, "Well, what did you do? Just run me through what you did on the phone." I said, "Well, I was actually posted to the SAS regiment. I went over to East Timor as the RQMS, basically, the S4. The Americans would call it S4. So I wasn't in a logistic supply unit, everyone. I was actually the senior logistics guy of a combat team, basically. So the S4, the Americans call it. So that's how I was in direct support. I used to go out and do resupply to our patrols down on the border. I did bloody resupply via vehicle, via Caribou, via Black Hawk helicopter. Me and my boys were always doing resups out to the SAS patrols in remote villages and stuff like that. So I was directly supporting our guy, taking ammo down to them, taking stores down to them, taking water down to them, taking rations to them. And got a few more stories to tell you in a minute. So that's how he said, "Yeah, mate." He said, "You're bloody entitled to the ACB." So he said, email me a form, fill that out. Anyway, I ended up getting it. So I'm entitled to the Army Combat Badge, everyone, which is issued to people who are non-infantry, everyone. So I wasn't in infantry corps. The SAS boys are infantry. I was there in a support role. I wasn't in infantry corps. Who gets the ACB? My cousin's a classic example that I did a live feed with the other night. Johnny Smith was on the gun line during the Battle of Long Tan. He was in direct support of Delta Company 6 RAR when they got bumped by about 3,000 Vietnamese during the Vietnam War, and Johnny was on the gun, like echo gun, and spent 11 hours pumping 105 shells downrange and saved a lot of lives. So Johnny he's probably got the Army Combat Badge, I would say, for that. Combat engineers in Afghanistan that went out detecting IEDs. We lost a few combat engineers over there, blown up by mines and IEDs. Combat engineers, combat medics who used to go out. I knew a guy, he was a medic at the prison there for a while. He wasn't around long. I forget his name now. He said, mate, I was in Afghanistan as a medic. He said, we used to go out on the chopper as a trauma team. If someone got blown up or shot out in a firefight, they'd bring the Black Hawk down, and he used to run out, and he'd be the one putting the tourniquet on and stabilising the patient, get him on the helicopter and get him back to a medical facility in Tarankout or whatever. He said, mate, I've been putting tourniquets on blokes' legs and that with bullets cracking over my head. So he was in medical corps, combat medic. Guys like that would get the Army combat because you're in direct support of a combat team. You're in direct support of the infantry. Guys like that are the ones who is why the Army Combat Badge was brought in, okay, for people that were in direct support of the infantry guys on warlike operations. So you don't have to have been in combat itself to get the badge. I'll go into that in a minute. This is where I'm going to get a bit controversial. The reason I started getting controversial is I was seeing a lot of senior officers with the Army Combat Badge and General Angus Campbell with the ICB, Infantry Combat Badge. Where did he get his ICB? Afghanistan. Where was he to get it? He was in Dubai. Like, come on. Like, there's a lot of people wearing these combat badges, guys, that I don't think should be wearing them. Should Newts have an ICB on his shirt? Absolutely. Somalia was a friggin' dangerous place. And when Newts was over in East Timor, that was a dangerous place as well. When I was over there as well, it was a dangerous place, everyone. Okay, 2RAR got into a big contact down on the border. The SAS boys, we had 2 blokes nearly lose their lives over there. The RSM got a bullet hole through the side pocket on his trousers. Through his map pocket, we used to call it. He had a bullet hole through there. Sergeant Cookie, we used to call him. He was in a Land Rover with his chest webbing on. I spoke to Cookie. He said, mate, I had a bullet hole through my chest webbing when I got back to the heliport. He said, that's how close I came to wearing a bullet in East Timor. He had a bullet hole through his chest webbing. Went through the side. Missed him. If it hit his body, he'd be dead. Hoggy got one through the neck, and it bloody missed his spine by 2 mil. I remember speaking to Hoggy in the gym after Timor. So we were in the SAS gym. Hoggy's in there. Big lad, like Ben Robert Smith. Big lad, rugby player. He said, mate, I'm too. He said, he showed me the scar on the back of his neck. The bullet missed his spine by 2 millimeters. 2 more millimeters, and he would have been dead. Would have severed his spine. That's how close we come to losing blokes in East Timor. Down at a place called Suai, down on the Indonesian border, everyone. They're taking some baddies back down, putting them back over the border, and they got ambushed. Anyway, long story short, once again, the SAS regiment got accused of war crimes after that contact. What happened after that contact happened? The SAS were accused of war crimes. They came after the regiment, and I was there when it happened, everyone. Not at the ambush. I was in the unit when they came after us. It was bullshit. And there's a big thing on Four Corners yet again. The ABC, surprise, surprise. The Ghosts of Timor trying to paint that the bloody regiment was full of war criminals. Absolute bullshit. So anyway, I'll just, once again, killing baddies, everyone. It's almost like the government want to send you to war now, but you're not allowed to kill the enemy. Come on, you can't have it both ways. The reason I question now the Army Combat Badge, and I've already got some people of side on this. That one there. They've both got, the one on the left's a brigadier. The one on the right is a major general. So you've got a 1-star in the American terms, a 1-star and a 2-star general there. Nothing against the girl. Like, they are ordnance officers, apparently. I got that photo off a Facebook site, 17th Sustainment Battalion, which is their supply officers. They were from supply depot, like they came up through the ranks as ordnance officers, everyone. So how were they, I'd like to know, if anyone can correct, how did they get the Army Combat Badge? I'm tipping that the one on the Major General, she's got the double ASM on and the Interfet medal, the same ones that I've got. So she was in East Timor during the first 6 months. Was she out on helicopter doing what I did, doing resupply, taking ammo and rations and that out in Black Hawk helicopters and supplying infantry units on the front line with what they needed? Was she doing that? I don't think so. But I think the wording has become so grey now where, I was in support of a force element. So we had infantry battalions down and I was supporting them from the rear. So I'm entitled to the ACB. This is where it gets grey, everyone. I'm just starting to think now that there's too many grey areas and there's too many people walking around with a combat badge on their shirt that probably shouldn't be. Now, listen, will you ever see me wear that on a shirt? No. Do I think I should wear that on Anzac Day, even though it's been awarded to me now? No, I don't. You won't. You know where that's going to go? On my pin board up there with all my other badges, my police badge, my corrections badge, my police name badge, my hat badges and my shoulder flashes, my AIRN badge. Newts will know what I'm talking about. That's just going to go on my pin board. I'll never wear that. I've never been in combat, everyone. I was in places where I possibly could have been shot at, but I wasn't. I wasn't shot at. I've never been in combat, everyone. And I jokingly said on my Facebook page, the only combat I've seen is in the boozer on a Friday night after a dozen bundies, getting in a punch-up with another soldier. Like, it was just joking around. That did happen, by the way, but that's not combat. Combat is like when you're on the front line like Newts and you're down there and you're patrolling around with live rounds. Did I carry live rounds in East Timor? Yes, I did. And we had to carry one up the spout. We're always in the action condition. So if we saw a baddie, we'd flick the safety catch off and engage. We're on the red card in East Timor, which means if anyone even pointed a stick at you and you thought it was a weapon, you could blow them away because it was classed as warlike operations. So there's a lot of different scenarios. People back in a supply depot that are supporting infantry units on the front line, are they in direct support? Well, it seems now, and I've seen a lot of other people, I just think it's becoming a participation award now. I just think the people who deserve that, good on yous. And the infantry combat badge. There's a lot of infantry guys wearing an ICB, everyone, infantry combat badge, and never been in combat. But that's not the wording. It just means you have to be in a war zone. Personally, I think we should be like the Americans, everyone. Here's the American. John will know what I'm talking about here. The American Combat Infantry Badge, CIB, they call it something different over there, requires active, direct participation in ground combat against a hostile enemy. Simply being deployed to a combat zone is insufficient. So this is where it becomes unpopular. I think we should have adopted the American thing where you have to actually be in combat to get a combat badge. That's the way I see it. I couldn't wear that on Anzac Day, everyone, and people coming up to me and going, "What's that badge?" "Oh, it's a combat badge." "Have you been in combat, have you?" "No, I haven't." "Oh, what do you got a combat badge for?" I think that should be reserved for people like Ben Robert Smith, Huggo, who I've just had on, who bloody was in firefights just about every day, went outside the wire in Afghanistan. My cousin, Johnny Smith, who was on the gun line in the Battle of Long Tan. There's a lot of people who deserve that, and I don't think I deserve it. I don't think I applied for. People go, "Oh, you applied for it," but yeah, dang on me pin board, I can say I've got it now because of all these people like these females, and I'll stand on my soapbox now and say I'm fucking positive that I've done more dangerous shit to get my ACB than what these two fucking high-ranking officers have on the screen here. If they see this and they can correct me, I will stand corrected. Absolutely. I'm not having a go at the ladies directly there. They obviously fit the criteria of somehow being in support of a combat unit. Does that support go all the way back to supply depots or a supply battalion? Fucking no. Come on. it should go to the guys who are down on the front line with the grunts doing the shit. Your combat engineers, your combat medics, your boys on the artillery line, like my cousin during the Battle of Long Tan. Blokes like Tony Purdy in Armoured Corps, that when the infantry boys went into a village, they were up there in their bloody armoured personnel and the Bushmasters and labs on the 50 cals, pumping rounds in to suppressing fire, to let the infantry move into a safe position, covering fire. Blokes like Tony Purdy, who was Armoured Corps, everyone. They're the guys who deserve that badge. Do I reckon I would never wear that? It just wouldn't sit properly with me, everyone. Wearing a combat badge, and I've never been in combat. I've been in some fucking dangerous situations outside the army, everyone, as a copper. But that's not what we're about here. That's an army issued thing. And that's the picture that I went, come on. And I've seen a lot of others, not just having a go at these two ladies here. I've seen a lot of other pictures as well. And I'm thinking, fucking how do you get a combat badge, mate? Anyway, I think we should be like the Americans. I think you should have bullets cracking over your head to be awarded a combat badge. What do you reckon, everyone? If anyone's out there, civilians and that. But anyway, our wording is totally different to the Americans. I think the Yanks have got it right. You're going to have a combat badge on your uniform. You've fucking been in combat. And that means you've been on a two-way range, we used to call it in the army. Engineers out there, where you know there's IEDs planted and you're with a fucking thing, yeah, that's combat, everyone. Because at any moment, and it happened to a few of our combat engineers, something could go bang, and next thing you're either blown to pieces or you fucking lost an arm and a leg. And it happened to a lot of our guys over in Afghanistan. So, yeah, what's Russ got to say here? Russ drove past Numbinbar Correctional Facility yesterday. Talk about a postcard. Yeah, I know, Ken. There's a prison farm down near the New South Wales border with Queensland, Narimba or whatever. That is spectacular countryside down there. It really is. So anyway, not having to go to those ladies there, but they've got the ACB on, a brigadier and a major general. It just seems now if you're a senior officer, they work out a way to give you a fucking combat badge because it looks better on your uniform. You only have to have a look at the Australian Federal Police Commissioner with her fucking 10 medals to know that this country is just becoming all about issuing participation fucking awards now. And personally, do I think I deserve a combat badge? No. And I wouldn't wear that. That's just me, everyone. I'm not having a go at anyone who's got a combat badge and you're like me and you haven't had bullets cracking over your head, but you're in a place where it could have happened, I guess. To me, that's not fucking combat. That's just doing your job. I got awarded Australian Active Service Medal for that, for going out into a dangerous situation. I certainly didn't think I'd ever be issued with a combat badge. Anyway, I was entitled to it and I applied for it. Yeah, so what's Newt's got to say? What pisses me off about the ACB is that it's too similar to the ICB. It should have been a different design or colour. Yeah, it is very similar. The only difference is the ICB, everyone, has got a bayonet. It looks like an SLR bayonet, Newts, up the middle, whereas the ACB's got two crossed 303 bayonets or something by the looks of it there. Very similar looking thing, the ICB. But as I said, Newts, there's a lot of infantry guys that wear the ICB, mate, that have never been in combat either. It's the way the legislation is written. Personally, I like the Yank way. You got to be actually fucking doing the shit against the enemy. That's combat, everyone. And this is why I'll never wear my combat badge. Friggin' compare myself to someone who stormed the beaches of Gallipoli in 25th April 1915, or my uncles and that, they were up on the Kokoda fighting the Japanese. That's combat, everyone. That is combat. Getting in a Black Hawk helicopter and dropping ammo and water and rations and other stores and that off to some infantry patrols down on the border, that ain't combat. So it just doesn't sit with me. I'll never wear that on my shirt. You'll never see me wearing that, everyone. That'll go on my pin board, and that's as far as it goes. Anyway, John saying, the US Marine Corps, it has its version called the Combat Action Ribbon. You have to have been in combat and actually shot at to receive it. Yeah, John, well, there you go, mate. And that's where I'm going, and I've had a lot of veterans fucking having a crack at me on Facebook who obviously are similar to me, where they've been awarded a combat badge and haven't been in combat, and they're getting very, very defensive about it. Personally, and I'll stick with this, I think it's like we should go to the American legislation. You got to be fucking in the shit. Have these two on the screen at the moment been in combat? No way. No way. And I'll bloody put money on it that I've probably fucking done more dangerous shit than what these two senior officers have done. They might put me to shame. They've probably been there cracking bullets down range for all I know. I don't know. And if they have, good on them. They deserve their badge. That's a man who is wearing the infantry combat badge and deserves it. Nobody's questioning his infantry combat badge. Let me tell you, Big Ben, what a champion. There he is with the Queen. We've seen this. I support Ben Roberts-Smith, absolutely. Righto, speaking of East Timor, everyone, those blokes on screen there, I'll pull it up. Dodgy characters. You're probably thinking, Buck, who are they? They Indonesians. No, they're not Indons. They're Falantal guerrillas. If anyone doesn't know anything about Timor, Indonesia invaded East Timor in 1975. It was a Portuguese colony prior to 1975. Indonesia invaded it in 1975. What did Australia do? We sat back and pissed our pants, everyone. And so did Portugal. We should have that should have been on then. It should have been full on Portugal and Australia versus Indonesia. But we rolled over, pissed our pants, and let Indonesia run gunshot over East Timor up until 1999. These guys here formed in 1975. Falantal. They are the armed wing of a political group called Fretnal up in East Timor. And the weapons you see there were probably either ex-Portuguese weapons that the Portuguese army may have left behind for them, or they are weapons that they've somehow got off, killed Indonesian soldiers. And I'm tipping the bloke there with the M16A1, the second bloke, not the bloke in the front, he's got an AK-47, everyone. Another bloke's got a H&K G3, and then another bloke's got an M16A1, which is probably... So these guys used to fight in the jungle, and from 75 to 99 used to fight against the Indonesian TNI, the Indonesian military. I've got a hat here. I'll show you. It's full of cobwebs. That's my souvenir. I'll just remove that for a minute. That's my East Timor. Newts, I relieved that from an Indonesian TNI officer. He was in such a hurry to leave East Timor, he left that lying around, and I scored it. That's a Ridgy-Didge Indonesian officers, army officers hat, everyone. Full of cobwebs. It's even got TNI, which is Tentara National Indonesia or something AD. I wonder if it's got his nut. He's probably still looking for it. He's probably going, some Aussie arsehole's got my hat. I'll have to give that a back in. TNI. So that's a Ridgy-Didge Indonesian officer's army hat. And he left it lying around in his hurry to leave the country, and I souvenired it, everyone. There you go. That's my souvenir from East Timor. What was I saying? So the Falantal guerrillas, everyone, they fought the Indonesians from 75 to 99. Violent battles. They used to live up in the mountains, similar to what Z Force did with the Japanese in Timor. Our commandos fought in East Timor, or in Timor itself. Timor's an actual island. You've got West Timor and East Timor. Indonesia invaded. West Timor is Indonesian territory, and East Timor was Portuguese. Well, in 75, the Indonesians said, we're going to go over and take over East Timor. Well, we want the whole island, and they invaded. Wasn't until 1999, and then somehow the United Nations said East Timor wants their independence back, and there was some stuff done behind the scenes, and they sent in a force of about 20 different nations led by Australia. And when we went at East Timor, guys, Newts was there on, they just burnt the country to the ground when they left. The Indonesians and the Indonesian militia, the West Timorese militia, murdered, raped, pillaged, burnt the country to the ground, and made an awful mess of it. So those Falantal guerrillas, they fought against the Indonesians for bloody 20 years, over 20 years, everyone. And there's a lot of things there. People say, look at their hair. A lot of them said, and I heard this, I don't know if it's true or not, that a lot of them didn't cut their hair, and they said, we're not going to cut our hair until East Timor is East Timor again, and we get our country back from the Indonesians. So they're the guys, and they used to go out. How did I get involved with these guys? When we got in there, these guys were still fighting with the Indons. So I'll be careful to say here. Basically, General Cosgrove identified that when East Timor becomes a separate country again, they're going to need a defence force. Who is going to make that defence force up? These guys, these Falantal guerrillas. They're the ones who are going to eventually become the East Timorese Defence Force, or the East Timorese Army. So when we got over there, a lot of our SAS patrols, one squadron in particular who I went over with, started training them up, everyone. Won't go too deep into what we did with them and whatever, but a lot of my job was ferrying these guys to different villages to get them trained up, basically. I used to take them, pick them up from certain villages, transport them to another village where we'd have SAS patrols there to train them up. And, yeah, so that was Falantal guerrillas. And this guy here, this guy with the sunglasses on, his name's Commander Ruak, and he used to come into the special operations headquarters all the time, and he'd always be wearing those sunglasses. They always wear their red berets, and he always had his aviator sunglasses on. He was about 5'1", and he thought he was the cat's ass, everyone. Commander Ruak, his name was, and he used to come in, and our bosses would go, oh, morning, Commander. You know, they used to call him Commander. Good morning, Commander Ruak. How are you? And he spoke a bit of English. Oh, good. And next thing you know, I'd be putting the jug on and making a cup of coffee for him or whatever. So that Commander Ruak, this little fellow with the sunnies on, he'd come into our headquarters all the time because they were working him with our guys. Fast forward, and that's probably the guys now. They look a bit better now, don't they? Got the short hair and the Falantal, and they actually became the East Timor's Defence Force, everyone. Trained up by the Australians. So that's what they look like now. That's the East Timorese flag there, the red, black, and yellow one. And that's the Falantal flag, the green, blue, and white one. So that's the fast forward. These guys, this scruffy mob here, we turned them into those guys. And they're now the East Timorese Defence Force. So, yeah, that was part of our job, is to ferry those guys around. And I always thought if there's any Indonesian-backed militia around at the moment and they knew we were ferrying the Falantal around, it would have been job on. There would have been a gunfight for sure if they knew. If there was any militia around and they saw us with these guys, it would have been on. There would have been live rounds flying. So I guess, you know, I was in places where shit could have gone down, but it didn't. I got a funny story for you. There's me, I'll tell you that. Funny story for you. I get me and a couple of me boys, the Kiwis, Willie and Jerry. Fuck, you got to take some Falantal down to Suai, which is on the Indonesian border. Take these guys down, and then you need to pick up a new bunch of them and take them to this village for some training. So I went down there. Anyway, we got there late afternoon. And when they got to their village, everyone, they were welcomed like heroes. These guys were heroes because they just spent 20-something years fighting for East Timor's independence from the Indonesians. And these boys have all seen combat. They've all seen combat. Anyway, so we get to this little village down near Suai on the border, and it's late afternoon. I said to the boys, we're going to have to stay here all night, and then we'll get up early in the morning and take the new batch back further east away from the border, and so they can get some training into them. Anyway, that night they come up and go, a couple of them could speak some English. Oh, we have dance tonight. We have dance tonight and drinks. You come join us. So, yeah, right, so got our weapons slung. In we go into this big, like a big house, big open house, like a little hall or whatever. Anyway, got the music going. And it was funny that the women sit on at one end, and all the men sit at the other. And then when the music started, the men would have to get up, walk across the hall, and pick a woman, and then go out in the middle and dance with her. And when I say dance, it was like a waltz. It wasn't like a disco dance or whatever. And it was the weirdest music you've ever heard. This went on for hours. So when we first got there, they come over with a big bucket of stuff. And I look in and it looked like swamp water. And they go, you drink, you drink. So we got our cups, canteen, steels with us, our bloody brew mugs. So they go, you drink. And I heard Jerry go, Jerry's big Fijian lad, one of my diggers. He goes, hey, Buck, are we supposed to eat the bees too? And I looked down and I don't know what they'd made, some sort of alcoholic solution that looked like swamp water. And they must have just got a beehive, snapped the beehive off with the honey and wax and everything, bees, and just thrown it into the thing to sweeten it up. Anyway, Jerry's going, he scoops his cups canteen into this bucket of like brown swamp water, and there's bees floating around on the top of it. He said, hey, Buck, are we supposed to eat the bees too? I said, no, flick them out, mate. Don't eat the bees. Flick them out. Anyway, we had a big cups canteen full of this stuff, and it was putrid. It tasted like swamp water. It looked like swamp water, tasted worse. Anyway, we had a few of them. We didn't want to insult these guys, but it was a good night, and there was a bit of food. They cooked a bit of food up for us and everything. Anyway, we went out and slept out near our vehicles for the night with one eye open. And then the next morning we took off and took the new mob back up to a village to do some training with the SAS boys. So that was my night of getting on the piss with the Fallental boys. And that I don't know what they made, that alcoholic solution, but it was, I've never drunk kava before, but it was like kava with a big beehive thrown in it. But I still remember Jerry looking at me going, Buck, we supposed to eat the bees? I said, no, flick them out, mate. Flick the bees out. Don't want to eat them. Anyway, there he is, Commander Ruak and the boys. And as I said, they were bloody, they were tough little buggers. I know they don't look like much, but these guys have been fighting for 20-something years, guys, full of like guerrilla warfare. That's why they're called Fallental guerrillas. They adopted guerrilla tactics against the Indonesians, and they killed a lot of them too, and they had a lot of Indonesian weapons with them. The other story too is you'll see this one here, the different types of weapons they've got. Because I was the S4, John, the logistics guys, boss said, we're training these boys up. They're going to be using their own weapons. They're not using our Styres and M4s and whatever. They're using their own weapons. And then we went through all the types of weapons they had, and I had to go and get ammunition for them. So I go down to a supply depot one day with a full thing of stores requisitions, and this warrant officer, big ordnance warrant officer, comes out. Hey, mate, how are you? I say, good, mate. I say, I've got some ammo requests for you. He goes, oh, yeah, no worries, mate. Thinking it'd be for Styres or like 5.56 or 7.62 for our machine guns or whatever. And I handed him this, and he's going through them, and there's like 6.5 Mauser, 7.62 by 39 for the AK-47s, 7.92, all this weird-sized ammunition that the Australian Army does not use. And he just said, he goes, what the fuck is this, mate? He goes, what's all this shit? He said, we don't have this type of ammo. I said, well, you have to try and find it in Australia, mate, because we need it and we need a shitload of it. And he goes, and I told him the story. I said, mate, I'm from the regiment. We're fucking training the Fallental boys up, and they've got AKs and Mauser sniper rifles and H&K G3s, M16A1s, which took a slightly different type of round to what our Styres and M4s took. He goes, fuck. Anyway, I may have to go back to supply depot in Darwin to try and sort. Anyway, fast forward a few weeks, HMAS Jarvis Bay comes in, get a call. Hey, response force, we got a fucking pallet load of ammo for you blokes. I said, beauty, I'll be down. Get the boys, go down. And here's a pallet load of ammo, all for AK-40s. Like, all this weird sized ammunition that we just didn't use in the Australian Army. And part of my job was getting it down to the patrols and so that they could run range shoots and live fire training and that for these guys. So yeah, it was the old MO demands to the supply. I remember the look on that warrant officer's face when he's going, "What the fuck is this, mate?" I said, "Oh, don't ask, mate. I'm from the regiment. We're training the fella." He goes, "Oh, righto." So there they are there. Fast forward, there's the Fallons all there. Haircuts, new uniforms. Yeah, so that's the new East Timorese Defence Force. That's me in Timor, everyone. I don't know where. I think we were refueling there, or that was the helipad or something. I was about to go out and do a resup. Did a lot of resups via Caribou, Black Hawk, vehicle, mainly vehicle. And yeah, so it's got the Mag 58 machine gun hanging off the front door. Gidgee used to fix them, everyone, in case you're wondering. That's what Gidgee used to fix, the Black Hawk helicopters. And that was me. Most of the SAS boys used M4s and that over in Timor because I was part of the headquarter element. We hung around in Dili a lot of the time. They wanted us using Styres. So that's me with the Steyr in East Timor. About to go on a Black Hawk and do some resups. This one's special to me, everyone. I don't know what village this was. We're doing some resupply. We'll come across a village, beautiful little village. And the guy on the right there, his name's Pete Law. And he was he's an he was SAS, Beret qualified. He was the chief clerk of the regiment. He was in the clerical stream there, but he'd done the shit, everyone. In his younger days, he was a door kicker and an assaulter and had done all the SAS stuff. And because he was getting on a bit as a warrant officer, as you do, you're getting a bit old and you're not up to doing all the stuff that the young fellas do. Pete changed over to Clare and he was the chief clerk of the regiment. So I said to Pete, we're out doing a resup. And I said, come on, Pete, come for a drive with us one day. We'll go to a few different villages and Pete can come out and help me and me Kiwis do a resup. We come across this village and these young girls here from the village, they love the Aussie soldiers, as Newts will let you know. The kids love the Aussie soldiers over there because they knew we're always armed up with lollies. So these young girls, everyone, this would have been 1999 or early 2000. And we gave them a chuppa and we got our photo taken with them sitting on a little wall outside their village, which had been burnt to the ground, by the way. Always wondered, I'd love to know the name of the village. I don't know what village it was, but I'd love to go back over there, show that photo and see if any of those girls are still around. They'd all be mothers now, 20-something years later. They've probably all got their own kids. Look at them. They're lovely little kids. So all having a chuppa with us. That photo is pretty special to me. The kids. Pete had a bag of chuppa, so all the kids got a chuppa off us. The other thing too, that's a Russian Mi-26 helicopter. I don't know if that's the exact one in East Timor. I think it is. The United Nations hired it, everyone. When we got over there was a lot of malnutrition and stuff like that. I went through a village one day going up to one of our patrols. I went through a remote village up on a mountain. And when we came into the village, all the kids had malnutrition. It was like you see the kids in Africa with the big bellies. These East Timor kids were like that. And I said to the boys, I said, oh, no, this village is in trouble, boys. Look at the state of the kids. Anyway, after we did our resup and we got back to Dili, there was AusAid were there. And I went in and saw the people from AusAid and I got the map out and I said, there's a village, and I showed them the village on the map. I said, you need to get doctors, medical staff, you need to get food, water. This village is in deep shit. And they hadn't been fed for a while. Obviously, the kids had malnutrition, no clean drinking water. So AusAid had bloody bags of flour and bags of rice, like big wheat sacks full of it. And they used to ferry the food around on these United Nations helicopters to remote villages up on mountains and that where vehicles couldn't get. And they used to get food and water and that in for the women and children, the kids and that. So, yeah, hopefully I never got to go back and see that village again, but I'm hoping that AusAid got some bloody rice and flour and got medical staff in there because the kids were in poor shape, everyone. Kids were in poor shape. the guy who became the first president of East Timor, and I've seen this bloke close up. He used to come in all the time. Janana Guzmao, his name was, and he was, I think he, Ramos Horta and Guzmao used to take it in turns to be the president, but he was Falentil Gorilla. He's married to an Australian lady, actually, Guzmao. And can anyone guess where his bodyguards may be from? They're Aussies, and they've got MP5K. MP5Ks, they're his close protection team, because Janana Guzmao, they knew that once East Timor got their independence after we left and it became Timor-Leste, or Leste or whatever it's called, he was going to be the first president of East Timor, Janana Guzmao. So as soon as we got there, they put close protection on him. So they're SAS boys. In case you haven't wondered, they got all their eyes blacked out. And a lot of the SAS boys were trained in CPP, close protection. And he ended up becoming the first president of East Timor, everyone. Rule 303. I think that was, I was going to talk about the young girl in the Northern Territory who was recently killed, little 5-year-old girl. And that's the rule that they should be applying to that piece of shit that killed and raped that little kid. Rule 303, everyone. Anyone watch Breaker Morant? Well, what rule did you shoot them under then? This is in the Boer War, John. The Boer War before World War One. 2 Australians were shot by the British for war crimes. And he said, we shot them under Rule 303. And the old 303 rifle. And that's what that piece of shit should be, the rule that should be getting applied to him. Anyway, that's the end of my slideshow. I know I've been talking a lot, everyone. I'll remove that and let's get into some comments. I don't know, Blue Dog and Antonov. I don't remember seeing an Antonov down there. I don't remember seeing it. I'll tell you another story from East Timor. Talking about generals before. Some of these generals from Afghanistan, they've all got the infantry combat badge on, and some of them didn't even set foot in Afghanistan. They were running the war from the United Arab Emirates, from Dubai, everyone, in the United Arab Emirates, probably living in 5-star hotels and that. This piece of shit, Angus Campbell and that. Makes you sick, doesn't it? And the boys are over in Afghanistan doing the hard yards. Newt's got to fly. I nearly did, Newt's. I tried to get myself on it, and I had to go on a different resup, and I was trying to tee up a flight on that Mi-26, and it didn't come off. Newt's has been on that helicopter, everyone. I reckon some boys that went on it reckon there were fuel bladders in the back, and the Russian pilots, civvies, they were ex-Russian military, but they're smoking. The loadies are smoking in the back, and there's fuel bladders in there. Apparently, the Russians were a bit loose. Anyway, I think they're a massive helicopter. They're way bigger than a Chinook, everyone. So my general in East Timor, me and Utes, our general was Peter Cosgrove, everyone. Peter Cosgrove was a general who had been there and done that. He was a platoon commander in Vietnam in 1969, 1970. He was awarded the Military Cross for an assault on a bunker system in Vietnam. When he was over there, he was a platoon commander, young lieutenant, in charge of 5 platoon, B Company, 9th Battalion, Royal Australian Regiment. So Peter Cosgrove was a platoon commander in Vietnam, everyone, and has been in combat. He deserves his infantry combat badge, and he got the Military Cross for leading his platoon in an assault on a bunker system in South Vietnam during the war. Anyway, I digress. Cosgrove's in Special Forces headquarters one day. I was the S4 there doing what I was doing, organising resupplies and doing my job. And I hear this. I say, Major, you using your phone? I looked up. It's General Cosgrove. No, sir. Giving me phone. Cosy, he gets on the phone, and it must have been a young liaison officer on the other end, young lieutenant. And he was the liaison officer with the South Koreans who were in East Timor in their area of operations. And Cosgrove, I still remember him. I was pretending to just work on my laptop, doing stores, ordering stores and shit. And I heard Cosgrove on the phone, and excuse the language, everyone, he's going, you get those fucking South Koreans outside the wire, get them fucking patrolling, I don't want any more incidents down in there, AO. And Cosgrove was tearing shreds off probably a young lieutenant, Australian liaison officer that was attached with the South Koreans, wherever they AO was. Cosy was ripping shreds off him, everyone. So, yeah, I've seen General Cosgrove in full flight. He was a good general, but he was a scary man when he got angry, let me tell you. Yeah. The Russian loadmasters were in shorts and thongs with World War I style leather flying. I heard that, Newts. I heard they were a bit loose. I heard that those, ex-Russian military, no doubt. But, no workplace health and safety on their helicopter. Someone said, mate, he said, I had to go somewhere on the MI-26. He said there was a fuel bladder in the back. They're dropping a fuel bladder off somewhere, and the loadie's got a durry hanging out of his mouth. I said, yeah, that's the Russians for you, mate. No health and safety with these guys. Graham Whitaker. Fun fact, my bride used to be the local orphanage, which was in a very bad situation. I went around Townsville trying to buy vegetable seeds to send over to help them. I say trying, no one. Yeah, well, that's it, mate. Just little things, eh? Just little thing. I'll tell you another good story. We used to go past this house in Dili every morning. We'd go on a patrol, vehicle patrol, and I go past this house, and there's always this old East Timorese bloke sitting outside his house. It'd been burnt out. Everything got burnt out, neutral. They burnt everything to the ground. It was an old concrete house, and it was charred black. They burnt, the Indonesians and militia had burnt it out before they left. The whole place got burnt to the ground. Anyway, he used to wave to us every morning. One day I went down to the supply depot. I saw a supply person down there. I said, hey, got any white paint? Yeah, mate, I've got a couple of 20-litre drums here just sitting around. I said, I'll get a 20-litre drum of paint, a couple of paintbrushes. He said, what are you doing? I said, I told him what I was doing. He said, yeah, mate, here you go. Sign. So next morning, go past, I pull over. This bloke couldn't speak a word of English. Bon dia, good morning, and all this type of shit. And I pull the boys' 20-litre drum of paint and a couple of 4-inch paintbrushes. I said, mate. Anyway, we drove off. A couple of days later, we drive past, and it was like the only white house in the street. He painted his house with the paint, and it was white again instead of black, charred, bloody shit from when they burnt it out. And he got a white coat of white paint back on his house. And I thought, that's what it's all about. That kind of made my day, that. Just getting a can of paint and a paintbrush for this bloke to paint his house again and make him feel a bit better about where he lived. So, neutral. When we got into Timor, everyone, they just burnt everything to the ground. The whole country was burnt to the ground. Mate of mine, Jeremy, was a combat engineer. He was rappelling down wells and pulling bloody dead women and children out of wells that had been murdered before they left. They were a pack of mongrels. They absolutely destroyed that country. I had the pleasure of meeting Cosgrove and his wife at a Vietnam veterans reunion years ago. He was the special guest. My dad is a Vietnam vet. Good stuff. Fizz and M. Yeah, General Cosgrove. He's a good man. I've got a beer coaster somewhere. Signed by, it's around somewhere. I've got a beer coaster, probably with my photograph, signed by General Cosgrove. $2. All the best, General Peter Cosgrove. So I should put that up on my board too. I should put that alongside my Ben Robert Smith photo, everyone. Letter. Anyway, that's enough East Timor. You're probably sick of hearing about that shit. What else we got? The Inland Rail project has been cancelled, which is good. It was an inland rail project that was going to go from Melbourne to Brisbane, and the budget blew out, and it stopped at Parkes now, apparently, and it was going to cost another $30 billion to get it to Brisbane. So because of when's the budget coming out? That's going to be interesting, everyone. And the Snowy Hydro 2.0. This just sums this country up, everyone. They obviously did some planning and said, how much to do Snowy River Hydro 2.0? As we know, it was a massive thing back in the 50s and 60s. Pap's dad, Mick Papadopoulos, worked on the Snowy Hydro scheme. A lot of the immigrants that came out, the Italians and the Greeks, worked on Snowy River Hydro scheme 1.0. They wanted to do a Hydro 2.0 for hydroelectricity for their green energy. Well, at the moment, and this just sums this country up, it was supposed to cost $2 billion. The current price now, 20 times, it's gone up to 40 billion. And instead of being finished in the year 27, 28, they're now saying if they keep going ahead with the project, it's going to be the mid to late 30s before it finishes. It's blowing out 20 times the budget. And there's a guy on there, he's a councillor down in Wagga Wagga. He said they need to stop Snowy Hydro 2.0 right now. It's just an endless money pit. How does this happen? Our defence projects, Snowy Hydro, the Inland Rail project. They get a quote on it, and then it just blows out in budget and in money and time. Everything we do in this country, the budget blows out because the unions get involved, and don't get me started on that shit. So they need to start knocking these big projects on the head, unfortunately, everyone. We don't have an extra 30 billion to throw at this Inland Rail project. We don't have 40 billion extra just lying around to finish Snowy Hydro 2.0. We're already $1 trillion in debt, everyone. We've got to stop spending our money, the money that we do not have. These projects have got to stop. Anyway, hey, there's a good guy on Facebook. His name's Ian Dowling. He's an Irish guy. He's been living out here for about 20 years. Anyway, he just does funny, he gets on and has a say on Facebook or YouTube or whatever. He come on the other day in his Irish accent, and he's a bloody labourer. He's like a builder's labourer. And he come on and said, I thought you Aussie blokes were supposed to be big and tough. He was just taking the piss. He goes, as soon as it starts raining, you blokes down tools and don't want to build anything. He said, you just go to the pub. As soon as there's a speck of rain, it's down tools, stop work. He goes, no wonder you're not building fucking houses in this country or getting anything done, and why things are blowing out with budget and time. He said, every time there's a speck of rain, your tradies down tools. Anyway, he said, come on, lads. He said, I thought you Aussie blokes were tougher than that. He was kind of tongue-in-cheek type thing. Anyway, turns out, because he had a go at Aussie tradies, he's been sacked from his job. They sacked him. And he goes, oh, he said it was just tongue-in-cheek. He said, I'll take me clip down. They've sacked him from his job because he was taking the piss out of Aussie tradies down on tools as soon as it rains. Anyway, he has decided now, he said, fuck yes. He said, I'm not going to be a builder's labourer anymore. I'm going to get on a push bike and ride around Australia and do stand-up comedy. He is quite a funny guy. Do stand-up comedy and ride my push bike around Australia. He's an Irish guy. His name is Ian Dowling, everyone. So get on Facebook and look for him and follow his channel. And if he comes through your town, bloody say good day to him, go and watch one of his comedy shows and support him, maybe give him a small donation to keep him going. He's seems like a really, really nice guy. Ian Dowling, his name is. He's got a really thick Irish accent. Been working out here for 20 years, everyone, because he took the piss out of the tradies for down and tools in the rain. He got the sack from his job. We are becoming a sooky, pathetic nation now, aren't we? You only have to have a look at our politicians and that bloody James Patterson the other day, the scrawny little prick from the Liberal, who went up and started rage baiting with his mobile phone camera, rage baiting that old pensioner that was just handing leaflets out for the One Nation. That's the type of pricks we got running this country now, everyone. It's pathetic. It really is. So anyway, let's get back on to John and Dana, everyone. They're in Twin Falls, Idaho at the moment. Hey, I've got one funny thing to show you from East Timor. It only goes for 10 seconds. John might like to see this. Video file. No, that didn't work. But cancel. Share the screen. Share. This is East Timor. Newts, were you in this? Is this your section, Newts? Obviously, they were expecting to possibly take fire from some baddies, so they're behind a LAV, a light armoured vehicle, an infantry section, and for some reason the LAV driver decides to throw it in reverse and nearly runs over the infantry section Watch the foot on the left-hand side. Watch how close one of the infantry boys' legs goes to going under the light armoured vehicle. Unbelievable. I'll make that bigger. Oh, dear. So there you go. Did you see that one? Oh, you fuckhead. I tell you what, the infantry boys would have had a quiet chat with a driver, the Armoured Corps boy, lad that was driving that. Did you see how close that bloke's leg went to going under the wheel? That was close. Yeah. So, Newts, was that your section? Peter Cosgrove. Newt said, Peter Cosgrove signed my army camo shirt for a charity auction. It proudly hangs in a strip in a strip club in the Brisbane CBD. There you go, Newts. Unlike you to be hanging around in a strip club, Newts. That's very unusual for you. Oh, there you go, everyone. Newts' Aussie signed shirt went to a charity auction, which was just somehow being run at a strip club in Brisbane CBD. Classic. No, Newt said that was not his section behind that thing. I'll tell you what, I reckon there would have been a few fisticuffs flying after that. That bloke, if that went over his leg, that would have been amputated leg time. That was too close for comfort. I forgot what I was going to say now. That's right. I was going to go to Google Maps, everyone. Share the screen. Show you where John is at the moment. Then we'll finish up, eh? Share the screen. Google Maps. Share. So, as we know, John and Dana, I hope you can see that. John and Dana live in Oregon, everyone, in the USA, or in Oregon, which is the second state down on the West Coast. They live not in Portland, but near Portland, Oregon. And they got the casita hooked up at the moment, which is their little, I think, a 17-foot fiberglass van or trailer, as they call it over there. And they are currently, they've gone through Oregon, John and Dana, and they're currently in Twin Falls down here in Idaho, which is the next state across, Idaho in the USA. So they're currently at Twin Falls, and they're eventually going to work their way up into Montana, everyone, which is the next state over. You see Idaho, there's like really skinny at the top and widens out at the bottom. So they've gone down to Twin Falls, where they are currently watching the live stream from. Say good day to John and Dana. And then they're going to go up. Not sure what they're doing in Montana, but they're actually going to go up into Montana, which is Indian country, everyone. You have a look here, all the Indian reserves. Blackfeet Indian Reservation, Fort Peck Indian Reservation, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Dakota, North and South Dakota. That's all Indian country over there, isn't it? Speaking of Indians, I've got a couple of Indian stories for you, everyone. How do I stop this now? How do I stop this? I'll get out of there. Hopefully I'm back on there. Hopefully you can see me. Oh, someone's shirt. Hopefully you saw that map. Anyway, a couple of funny, they're a bit rude, everyone. John, you've probably heard these ones. So, young Indian kid, when he's born, when he grows up a bit, he says to mum and dad, he said, Mum and Dad, he said, is it true that you name us after we're born, you name us after the first thing that you see after we're born? And they go, yeah, that's correct. You're named after the first thing you see. And they go, why do you ask? Two dogs fucking. I'm sure a lot of you have already heard that joke. And there's another one I saw on Facebook the other day. It was like an Indian cartoon of an Indian and a squaw, and the Indian girls like leaning over him, and he's all sad looking. And speaking of their names that they're given, the squaw goes to this Indian lad. She goes, what's wrong? Why do you look so sad, little worm? And he goes, oh, it's okay. You wouldn't understand, Big Canyon. That was on Facebook the other day. I thought it was piss funny. I hope you got that. Little Worm and Big Canyon, and that was obviously their Indian names. Here we go. John's saying, we're going to Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. There you go. Looking forward to seeing all your video footage and that, John, that you get from there. We haven't seen Wyoming before, so really looking forward to that, and looking forward to Twin Falls, Idaho. And yeah, that's a good thing about YouTube, isn't it? You get to follow someone like John's channel, everyone, 143 JKRD, and we get to see his part of the world over there. And I know a lot of us here will probably never get over to the United States, get to Wyoming or Idaho or Oregon, so we get to see John's part of the world through his YouTube channel, which is absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Anyone got any questions before I finish up, everyone? Hey, how good was King Charles the other day in his visit to the White House? I thought Charles, I've never been a big Charles fan, everyone. Like after the Queen went, I never thought much about that, but I thought Charles was a class act in the White House the other night. He took the piss out of the Yanks. He took the piss out of Trumpy in a nice way. Bit of banter between the Brits and the Yanks and that. But I thought Charles was a class act. And I think Trump stood back in awe of King Charles. He really did. And there was a good moment there where King Charles presented him the bell off a World War II submarine, and it was HMS Trump. That was its name, and it was part of Force Submarine Squadron, and it operated out of Australia in the Pacific. It was a British submarine operated out of Australia, obviously against the Japanese, and its name was HMS Trump. And King Charles presented Trump the brass bell off the conning tower of the HMS Trump the other day, and you could see Trump was, how Trump loves receiving gifts and prizes and that, everyone. He was chuffed. You could just see the look on his face. Trump was chuffed with that. And I think Trump stood back in awe of King Charles the other day in the White House. I think, and the way Charles was wearing his medals, Charles was in the Royal Navy, the way Charles attended a dinner at the British Embassy and they sang God Save the King and all that. I think Trump was in awe of that shit. I think that's what Trump wants to be, like a king. He's just that type of bloke with a big ego personality, and he's a narcissist. It's all about him. He loves that stuff. And I thought it was a good touch the other day. See ya. Someone's heading off. See you, Margie. See you later, mate. I won't be on much longer either. I've been on for 2 hours, so I'm going to go soon. So, I just thought King Charles's visit to the White House the other day was very classy, funny. Charles, he's got a good sense of humour, King Charles. He really has. And then he addressed Congress, and both sides of Congress got up and applauded him. It was good. I thought he did a very, very good job for British and American relations. I know it's a bit strained at the moment between Keir Starmer and Trump, the British, and that's a relationship you never want to see go south, is between the Poms and the Yanks, everyone. As Aussies, as little brother, we don't want to see the two big brothers having a fight. And I think Charles did a great job the other day to bring the two countries back together. I thought it was absolute fantastic. Diddly donks, John reckons. So there you go. That was a good one. Trump said, if it wasn't for us, you'd be speaking German. And King Charles said, if it wasn't for us, Mr. President, you'd be speaking French, which is true as well. It's true as well. There's a lot of, you go back in history, and the French and the Spanish were balls deep in the USA. I mean, the fact that the USA now is an English-speaking country, well, supposed to be, English-speaking country and all that type of stuff, that could well have been, Spain owned part of it, France, Louisiana and all that. That was all owned by the French. And, as I said, the British got in there. So it's all part of history. The United States has got a fascinating history, everyone. I don't know it real well. I know a little bit about it, but when you go back and the British landed and the 13, I think, British colonies, Massachusetts and all those, the New England part of the USA and other parts, Texas, belonged to Mexico and all that. When you start learning the history of the USA. It's fascinating. There were a lot of different countries in there doing land grabs. The Spanish, the French, and the Spanish were obviously part of the Mexico and that, everyone. So, yeah, and anyway, America, the United States is what it is today, and the British have got a lot to do with that. And his other one was, he's going on about Trump's renovations of the White House, the east wing of the White House, and the renovations. He goes, we British also tried to renovate the White House in 1814 or something. It's like when the British tried to burn the White House down, everyone, back in the early 1800s. So that was King Charles's joke about us trying to renovate the White House as well. Tried to burn it to the ground. So there you go. The British actually got into the White House and actually did burn it. So some fantastic history there. I'm sure John knows more about it than what we do. The French, there you go. The French funded our revolution. Yeah, the French were behind that. You can guarantee that if there's a stoush against the British, the French will be in the background. So yeah, the French were part of that, mate. Absolutely, the American War of Independence. There were French officers there helping call it the American Army, the Revolutionary Army back then. Yeah, the French were balls deep in that, mate. Absolutely, they funded your revolution. Yeah, happy birthday to Sir David Attenborough, one of the best documentary people and wildlife people to be on television. Him and his brother was very good too, Richard Attenborough. But Sir David, 100 the other day, unbelievable. They had a guy at the police academy, Garth Krieger his name was, and he did two very, very good impersonations. One of them was Sean Connery, and the other one was Sir David Attenborough. He did a very, very good Sir David Attenborough. Anyway, we did a thing once at the police academy. It was getting a person out of a car at gunpoint, like an armed person out of a car. And they were taking us through the scenario, and they said, "Righto, recruit Krieger, you're up. You're got to do you and your partner have got to go through." And they had a person play acting in a car as if they were an armed person, and you had to draw your Glock out and do the run through of an armed person inside a car. And Krieger did it he did it in a friggin', who did I say, the Sean Connery accent. And he had the instructors and all the students, he had us rolling on the grass in laughter. He was going in his Sean Connery accent, "I want to see your hands. Put your hands above your head and show me your hands, and then slowly open the door," and all this stuff. But he was doing it in this bloody Sean Connery accent, and he was good at it too. And he had us in stitches, absolute stitches. Shit, it was funny. Garth Krieger, his name was. So anyway, that's it, everyone. What do you reckon? There's me live feed. I know I did a lot of talking this morning about stuff that you're probably not interested in. Army combat badge. Yeah, I got one. Do I deserve it? No, I don't think I do. Will I ever wear it? No. That's just me, everyone. If you want to wear your Army combat badge, if you're out there, you're a veteran and you've earned it and you're entitled to wear it with pride, everyone. But you won't see me with it on. It's just the way I am. I can't wear something like that if I haven't been in combat. I think we need to go the American way, where you've got bullets cracking over your head, everyone, if you want to wear a combat badge. We're getting a bit lardy-darish now. You only have to have a look at all the senior police officers getting around, and their shirts are full of ribbons and medals. We're becoming a society where just participation awards, aren't we? And it's pathetic to see. It really is. Anyway, finishing early, Blackers reckons. Yeah, well, there you go. Early for me, mate. Mike Blakely is on. G'day, Mike. How are you over in Colorado? Hope you're well over there, mate. And John, enjoy the rest of your trip, mate. And looking forward to seeing Montana. Oh, that was John that was going before. It's probably, I don't know what time it is over there. It's be getting late over in Idaho. So I hope everyone enjoyed my Indian jokes, my dad jokes, my Indian ones. I don't know if any of you has got them. I thought they were funny anyway, especially the Little Worm and Big Kenyan one. That probably went over some people's heads. The COVID medal. Yeah. Queensland police officers have got a COVID-19 medal because they were police officers during COVID. Who gives a fuck? Really? The Australian Federal Police Commissioner has got a medal for the 2020 bushfires. Was she out in a fire truck on the end of a hose fighting the bushfires? I doubt it. I bet she was sitting in an office somewhere as part of a planning team, and somehow because she was the wider part of being part of fighting the 2020 bushfires, she ends up with a fucking medal on her chest. That's what I mean, everyone. You just do your job. They're giving out awards now for doing your fucking job. The participation awards. That's the way I see it. And you only have to have a look at police officers now. Mate of mine's in the federal police. He said, mate, I got a medal the other day for some operation I was on. And he said, I did absolutely fucking nothing. And they gave me a medal for it. He said, they're just handing them out now like jelly beans. You only have to have a look at that fucking police commissioner from the federal police, the one that tipped off the media for Ben Roberts-Smith, to know that we just hand out shit for just doing your job now. Come on. We've got to be better than that. You're going to get a medal or something to wear on your uniform, you friggin' earn it. That's the way I see it. Anyway, Gidgey. That puts $1 trillion into perspective. Gee, I doubted that figure, but just checked on calculator. That's mind-blowing debt. Yeah, it's $1 trillion is 1,000 billion, isn't it? It's $1,000 billion in debt, and it's going to keep going up. They need to start, and they did the right thing there. Snowy 2.0 needs to be knocked on the head. That inland railway, these projects that cost $42 billion need to be knocked on the head. The NDIS, well done to Labor. Apparently they're cracking down on the NDIS. 160 million they're cutting from the NDIS budget. That needs to happen. We all know it's been rorted. It's going to be a hard job to reel that in. And the people that it's their job to do it, it's going to be a hard job for them. Okay? No one's against the NDIS, everyone. No one's against seeing badly disabled people and their carers being paid by the NDIS system. But we all know that there's people out there taking the piss. Just like the Veteran Affairs thing. I'm going to upset some veterans again. There's a lot of people out there that have served and they're taking the piss out of the Veteran Affairs system, coming up with bogus claims and claiming injuries they don't really have. It happens. Once you give people a way to get money, they'll take it. And it's bullshit. NDIS, they need to crack down on Veteran Affairs and a lot of the bogus claims going in on that. We know it's happening, and it's not good enough. Just, yeah, makes you angry, doesn't it? No one minds tax money being spent wisely, but when you're just pissing it up against the wall and giving it out to people who don't deserve it, that's when it becomes an issue. We need to rein in our foreign spending. Money we're given to foreign countries, need to sit there and go through all the countries we give money to. Afghanistan, gone. That country, that's a shithead country. We've got nothing to do with that country. Gone. Little Pacific neighbours, yeah, absolutely. Let's keep supporting them. But these countries overseas that we've got nothing to do with, like Afghanistan, who we were at war with not long ago, we've given them $200 billion or something over the last few years. Got to start reining that shit in. We really do. Anyway, that's why hopefully if One Nation start getting in, we'll see what happens there. That was a good result last night, I think. The two major parties, look out. There's a new sheriff in town, and they're fighting for the Aussies. They're fighting for Aussies, and that's what we need. We're sick and tired of being sold out. We're sick and tired of both Labor and Liberal politicians not listening to us. Well, you're going to fucking listen to us soon. Next election, you're going to listen to us because none of us are going to be voting for you because you're all pieces of shit, both sides of the fence. Both these two big parties, have a look what they've done for this country over the last 20, 25 years. Absolutely nothing, everyone. You have a think about it. We're going backwards under both of them. I'm not just blaming Albo now. They've both got to take responsibility for... Albo took over. Here it is. I looked it up the other day. John Howard and Peter Costello, they had $247 billion or something in surplus, in a fund, a just-in-case fund, when they handed over. And since then, Since then, we've gone from 200 and something billion surplus to nearly $1 trillion in a deficiency. And when Albo took over, he took over from Scott Morrison and bloody Turnbull and them. It was 500 billion in the red then. And now Albo's nearly doubled it. So we can't keep going that way. Our bloody grandkids and that are going to be paying this debt off when they're adults. It's not fair on them. Not fair on them. Anyway, goodbye, everyone. I'm going to go out, say good day to Roz. Wish her happy Mother's Day. Ring my mum up. Wish her happy Mother's Day. To all the mums out there, happy Mother's Day. Hope you have a wonderful day. Spoil the mums out there, everyone, if you can. I'll go out and I think Roz is going to go over and see her mum today and wish her happy Mother's Day. And I better get on. Me and Gidge, we better. Mum should be out of bed by now. Hopefully, Gidge will give Mum a ring and wish her happy Mother's Day. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. I know a bit of a military theme about it. I know some of you out there probably aren't into the military side of things. You rather talk about camping and all that type of stuff. Wasn't one of those mornings. Anyway, I wanted to let you know what my thoughts are. There's going to be some veterans that have watched this that aren't going to be happy with what I've had to say. I don't give a shit. That's just my opinion, everyone. If you've been awarded that badge and you want to wear it, do it with pride, everyone. Good on you. I won't be wearing mine. I don't think I deserved it. If I had rounds cracked over my head, and mate, that helicopter flight there, everyone, that picture you saw of me in front of a helicopter, I'd done what I needed to do. Anyway, I had the headphones on the intercom system, and the pilot goes, how about we go for a fly along the border and see what we can see along the Indonesian border? So, yeah, so everyone's going, yeah, let's do it. So we're flying along the Indon border, and the loadies are on their bloody Mag 58 machine guns in the gunner's door. And I had my steyr, and I was bloody sitting there with my steyr pointing down. I thought, come on, just one muzzle flash so I can just let 30 rounds off to say that I've let some rounds off in anger. Didn't happen, everyone. Didn't happen. We didn't see a muzzle flash. I didn't get to bloody let a mag go. I'd dump a mag down range towards the muzzle flash, but we never got to do it. But anyway, the pilot said, let's go and see if we can stir a bit of trouble up along the border. We didn't see anything, never got to fire any live rounds. So anyway, shut up, Buck. Stop talking about army shit. See you next time, Jossie Hatch. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. Might get out camping one day if the rain ever goes away. And we'll see a lot of you down at the bar. Hopefully see a few of you at the Barra Crab in July. Really looking forward to that one. That's going to be a great camp up, that one. Happy Mother's Day, everyone. See you later. Thanks for tuning in. Bye now.